Hello and welcome to the Smite Draft League. We have playoff action for you today, and it's semifinals. We have Harbingers versus the Small Town Girls, and I could not be any more excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one today. Harbingers, they've been the number one seed the entire season. They're coming into the playoffs and they knocked off the 8th place team, but now they got to get past Small Town Girls. The standings might not show it, but they've really been on a rise lately, finding a lot of team chemistry. So it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park in our first semifinals.
Not at all. I mean, we've seen all season on the backs of Zetan and really everybody pulling together. Harbingers has been the undeniable favorite, and Small Town Girls is no dark horse in this race. This isn't a Cinderella story. Certainly, they performed fantastic all season as well, but I think going into this, it's kind of hard not to imagine that this is sort of, at least for game one. I'm not going to say for the whole set. This is this is Harbinger's ring to lose.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think, like you said, it starts with Tantalus. He's been the backbone of this team. He's the captain, the veteran, every different accolade we could possibly lay on. He's looked really strong all season, and certainly in the first round as well. Now he's going to get a pick that's going to allow him to be super comfortable in lane. The Ishtar, we've seen it as a top pick, top ban all season long, and no different here.
It has, and when I think Zetan, I think Cupid, I think Rama, and I think Ishtar. So him getting one of those three characters here is pretty gigantic, realistically, for Harbingers, and it kind of makes it now to where Small Town Girls almost is forced into having to play around Zetan and try to function around what they know he can do. I mean, statistically, he's been one of the best ADCs. He was an all-star. He's a team captain. He has the only pentakill of the season. That's a tough ADC to deal with.
It definitely is, but they made the right move here going with Thor. It's going to go to iTerminator in the solo lane. He's looked dominant on it all season, and I think one other thing they can do to limit it is that Harbingers did not ban out Yamoja. That's a staple of Lucian's playstyle as support. He does really well on it. Always finds values in the walls, and Ishtar doesn't have a leap. So if they go with the Thor they have, if they go with the Yamoja third in this draft, they're going to have a lot of walls that are really going to keep that ADC contained. But this is another pick they love. The Yu Huang for Tragic Fox, something she runs a lot out of mid lane and always looks pretty good, but yet to see her, I think, go full potential on Yu Huang and really pop off. Always a reliable mid, though.
For sure, and I do think it's interesting. In this game, we do see PF Sean and we see no Gava. So that means PF Sean will be the mid lane. And we've talked about all season, they've got their particular mid laners. We tend to see Gaba on Yu Huang, Poseidon, and another pick or two here and there. And Sean has been Agni, Scylla, and occasionally there's a flex pick like a Vulcan or something. So I'm curious if taking this Yu Huang for Tragic Fox, despite it being PF Sean, is just a strategy of kind of keeping Yu Huang away from Harbingers, because that's a character that all season they have been successfully playing around.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of both. Anytime you can take a pick away from a team, it's always good, even if the player that plays it isn't there. It just kind of takes that little bit of strategy out of their wheelhouse. At the same time, Tragic Fox, sorry, looks great on it. But a pick I would really like to see from P.F. Sean is the Scylla. We've seen Scylla really pick up in these playoffs lately, becoming a lot more popular. There's a emoji for Lucent, but if I was Small Town Girls, I would definitely be looking to ban out in the mid laner here, because Gear Chief, his draft pool is wide. He plays mages, he can play warriors, a Hades, like we see banned out. You can't ban every pick away from Gear Chief.
I agree, and you mentioned that you want to see PF Sean play Scylla. I agree, because when we've seen Scylla in these playoffs, we keep mentioning that he's a guy that we think of when we see that character. He's kind of becoming synonymous with Scylla, definitely here in the Challenger division in particular, and I think it plays to their strengths. The only consistent problem we've seen that Harbingers has had from Sean in mid lane, realistically speaking, is the objective secure. And one other thing I want to get into as we're finishing up the bans here for the second phase of bans is we've talked a lot about Harbingers not really having been on the back foot all season, but Small Town Girls they're playing on a different level right now. So this is definitely Harbinger's biggest challenge, and I'm curious if they do get put on the back foot, how can they respond, and do they have a game plan to respond?
Yeah, and I think adaptability is something we covered all season long, yet to really have to touch on it too much into the playoffs. But now here in the semifinals, it's definitely about if you get behind early, how are you going to respond? Harbingers, they too owed their first set. The Small Town Girls too owed their first set. Neither of these teams have been behind in playoffs, and I love that Achilles pick. I would still assume that's going to be an Achilles jungle. Getting an execute onto the board against that Khepri is going to be huge. And yeah, I think I would definitely put that at jungle, more traditionally a solo laner, but Terminator looks way too good on Thor to take him off it, in my opinion.
I was just gonna say we have not talked enough about Terminator and what he did in round one of these playoffs. He put Small Town on his back, and he was so dominant. We saw him on Thor, and we saw a crazy Amaterasu game, which is nothing to scoff at either. So I'm expecting to see more of the same. I find it hard to believe there's a lane where Terminator doesn't go off.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard scenario to imagine. Thoriga that's seen a lot of buffs lately. Achilles too was in a really strong spot, so luckily I don't think they can really go wrong with either of them. And Terminator and the jungler have been the main engages all season long for this small town girls team, so no matter where you put it, you're getting that execute onto the backline where the Khepri should be. Now PF Sean switching through a lot of different mid laners, hovering Scylla now though. I think that's the right lock-in. But when we look at Gear Chief, I think we've already talked about his God pool and just how varied he can play. Do you think he's going to take a more traditional route, or maybe go something like a full damage mage that seemed okay? Well, never mind.
Well, with the lock-in, picking Chalk and semis, this feels like one of those unique playoff picks that you only see when you get this deep into playoff rounds, because it's just not something that you see very common in regular season games. But ultimately, I like the pick for a multitude of reasons, but the number one that's coming to mind is the survivability in solo for Gear Chief. And Gear Chief's a fantastic solo laner, but Terminator is dangerous right now. So if you can just survive and get yourself to late game, regardless of character, but especially on Chalk, then you're setting up Harbingers very well.
Yeah, definitely are. And I think Shock kind of brings the best of both worlds between damage and defense. You can build Shock full damage and still hit like over 100 protection, 70% damage mitigation in your ult. I mean, he can be tanky without really needing to build it. So I think definitely going to suit Gear Chief's playstyle. We know he likes the aggressive picks, likes to be in the center of the action. And I think more so than that on Shock, you really want to frontline. You don't like hanging back. And that Khepri is going to be stuck on that backline all game with the Scylla and the Ishtar. Ishtar not the safest ADC in the game right now, but makes up for it in damage output.
I'm very excited to see Jingwei here. I think that Jingwei might be we'll definitely see this game, but Jingwei might be an undervalued ADC. Certainly not top tier or top of the meta, but I think there's some value there, especially with how Small Town Girls has looked to play so far this playoffs. But with that, we'll have to see in game number one, and with that, we'll be right back on the Smite Draft League semifinals. We've got Harbingers, who's been the favorite all season long, and Small Town Girls looking to take control of the playoff narrative here in the semifinals. I'm Anthony Malum. He is Kingfisher. It's best of three. It's semifinals, STL. Let's do it.
Yeah, and already a few interesting things. I mean, I gotta say, this is the first game I remember in at least a few weeks where I haven't seen a Pythagoras piece being started, at least somewhere on the board with two physical solo laners. You see it a lot less lately. And Scylla went to an Aegis amulet over the beads. I don't mind that into the Yu Huang, but that Thor is going to be rotating early and often, and you are not getting away from all those stuns.
Certainly not. It's going to be a big challenge. We do see Ninjas and Lucent having a bit of a poke off here. Looks like they're going to fight for the purple buff. It's going to be an interesting fight, but with the easy hog there for Cliff and Ninjas, Lucent's kind of caught out now and took a good bit of damage. Purple buff secured for Harbingers, and while certainly Ninjas is not going to kill the Emoja, this is going to matter a lot as we get into lane.
Yeah, it definitely will, and I like the thought from the Umoja, but at the same time, that is a lot to expend, especially against somebody with a Hand of the Gods. Umoja doesn't quite have that 200 damage burst this early in the game, so unfortunately gonna be lowered pretty heavily, but already back up to full health, and I believe didn't have to use a health potion either.
Yeah, which is a big victory. We do see Akamaru looking for potentially a bit of a gank, trying to see if there's any kind of opening in the soul lane, but Terminator is Achilles, and that is a tough character to get a successful gank on, so he's going to turn his attention and just clear up the totem. Probably the best play there.
Yeah, it definitely is. Now this Thor in the mid lane going to be able to keep Scylla out of that lane pretty well as PF Sean has to run back under tower. And now Oracles go early to Small Town Girls as well. I think, do you like seeing Oracles going this early? It always feels weird to me, taking it, I mean, I guess it's a bit of extra XP, but that vision really does nothing for you.
Yeah, it's for me. It's only really worth it if you know you can get it completely safely and without any kind of issue. And then, like you said, it's just kind of some extra XP for free. But it's very risky for no reason, which tends to be my only problem with it.
Yeah, that little debuff reducing your damage definitely can be deadly as now Terminator looking to get aggressive. Oh, good dash from Gear Chief.
Great dash from Gear Chief. Heal coming out. Might be enough to keep him safe for now. Does okay damage with the axe. We'll see if he has the courage to go back in, but there's courage and there's brains, and I'm looking for brains here from Gear Chief for sure, and it looks like that is what we get. But the Soul Lane Brawl is serious this time. Now Gear Chief dropping a little low. Terminator's putting some pressure on. Heal comes out. So no kill available despite how low Gear Chief got. This is a dangerous soul lane to be in right now. Gear Chief goes back in. 1 HP is Terminator. Akamaru's here for the first blood for Harbingers in the semifinals.
Yeah, Gamara shows up to save the day. I think Gear Chief would have been able to slightly get that Achilles on his own, but rather, I think you do like having that first blood go over to the jungler. It's going to help Akamaru, who is already 1 level behind Burple Nurple. On the Thor, and we haven't talked about this, the Thor did go into the jungle, not the solo lane, so it's a different eye Terminator we see, maybe regretting not having the safety of that hammer right about now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Wow, Gear Chief got very safe there, was just able to back in time. But we'll see how it works out. Terminator has been good on this Achilles this season, but the Thor was just so good, it's hard for me to agree with getting gone. Aggression from Zetan, looking for the first kill in duo lane, but Umoja gets out of there thanks to the little portal there, and gonna be plenty safe for now. But it was a close call for Lucent.
Yeah, it was, but the Umoja does live to fight another day, and here comes a Thor dunk onto Shock this time, but Shock, can he get away? No, he cannot.
No, he cannot, and Terminator picks up the kill after a nice gank and Thor ultimate from Burple Nurple, and that was. I want to say it was gutsy from Gear Chief to be pushed that far off, but it could have paid off. Now Flippin' Ninja's taking a lot of damage, but will get away safely for now. Akamaru is around the corner on the Hoonbots. We'll see if there's a play to be made. With Flippin' Ninja's health, it's risky, and it's not going to be there. Physics does have to dash away. Fear no evil anyway under the tower. Lucent taking just too much damage, falls to Akamaru. It's a kill for the Hoonbots in the dual lane.
Yeah, good rotation there from Akamaru. Got worried he was sticking around too long. Is now another good rotation. Burple Nurple. Can he find the damage onto Sean? Nobody can. Sean, good use of that I'm a monster to get out of range. I would just back right here, and he will.
Yeah, that
luckily.
was...
But yeah.
I thought for a second he might consider staying for the wave and greeting. He is, but I think he'll be safe doing it. But it was very risky to use that I'm a monster there. It was very smart to use the I'm a monster. It was very risky to stay, but everything worked out very well for Sean, and it ended up being a really great play to get away.
Yeah, managing risk is always hard to do if you're a backliner. Certainly don't want to go down early there. But luckily does get that wave, and not quite enough gold for going into that Book of Thoth first item. We've seen this a lot lately on the mid lane. I think it's definitely the right move. It feels like a great item. It's got great stats. But on the other side, Tragic Fox going a little bit of a different start. I guess a first item, Divine Ruin. So if they're going a stacking item, definitely going to be a little bit harder for her in lane, because at that time Akamaru and Flippin' Ninja's already going to be rotating over. Going to be a lot harder to get those stacks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it's going to be... I think this is going to be a tough time for Tragic Fox because of the team comp. I feel like Yu Huang might have a bit of trouble finding easy, secure of damage because there's going to be so much pressure on top of Yu Huang this whole time. And I think Tragic Fox is a player where she's definitely capable of dealing with it, but I think that'll also be one of the win conditions for Small Town Girls, realistically.
Yeah, it should be. And luckily, even if it's not the best god into the comfortability, especially in playoffs, something you always want to have. We've seen her all season perform pretty well on this pick. I mean, I think never done outright bad, so definitely not a bad choice, at least for game one. You want to find your groove early, make sure you don't get down to a place you can't recover from. Speaking of, it's been a really even game. We've seen this a lot so far already throughout the playoffs. A lot of more teams just matching up really, really well against each other. Now Burple Nurple has to hammer out some aggression in the solo lane. I don't think anything's going to come of this, so.
I agree. The waves come out, but it might just be more to stop the fight from happening as we did start to see a rotation. But Thor dunks down on top of PF Sean and gets some good damage, but I'm a Monster in return was able to keep PF Sean safe. Fear No Evil comes out, now Burple Nurple low, but thanks to the Emoja, will be able to make an escape, and somehow nobody died in that fight, which was very impressive to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely was. Unfortunately, PF Sean misses a few abilities there on Scylla, but they got the ult from Burple Nurple, they got the beads from Burple Nurple. They can definitely look at this Thor again. Scylla already early in this game has a Book of Thoth belt, getting major damage. Here comes the Chalk knockup, here comes a Chalk solo kill.
Needs barely one hit, dashes out of the axe though. Will he go in and greed for it? He's actually in range of it, but he's not going to go in. Back on the other side of the map, Tragic Fox falling low. Akamaru needs one more basic, and he will find it and picks up the kill. So despite the lack of a solo kill in solo, Harbingers does pick up a kill on the other side of the map.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Tragic Fox. A little bit late on the use of those beads, or maybe didn't ult. That Yu Huang ult is so nice for getting people off you. You get CC immunity, you turn them around and you push them like, what is it, 40 meters away? It's somewhere around there, but it's a really nice bit of distance. Love to see her use those two dragons a little bit more defensively next time, but still having those up means there's a lot of kill pressure in mid still for Small Town Girls.
And, you know, we talked about that a little bit very early on, even in picks and bans a bit, and that was the first time we've seen it come to fruition, and it was... I think that fight is an example of a lot of fights that come. If they can get to Tragic Fox, they're gonna do the damage. So it's gonna be big for Lucent and for Terminator really to take the pressure off of Tragic, because this Jingwei is not gonna come on until very late in the game. So they really gotta bide their time, and that Yu Huang is gonna be so important to get through these earlier stages.
Definitely will be. And speaking of the Jingwei, surprised not already at a disadvantage at Tantalus, who's been making ADCs kind of just look foolish all season long in the lane. But Physics doing a really good job keeping up, even half a level ahead over here. So definitely what you'd like to see, and especially against an Ishtar. Oh, a little bit too early.
And then the dunk was a little bit too late. Sean taking a lot of damage regardless. Fear No Evil to try to get everybody away. We'll see how successful it is. Crush comes out, but Burple Nurple's still alive, if barely. Now Akamaru's taking a lot of damage, but the Kepri revive is there from Flippin' Ninjas for the save, but Tragic Fox, she cleans it up, and they're going to get Flippin' Ninjas 2. Credit goes to Physics, and Harbingers loses 2 in the mid lane, and just like that, we're tied at 3 apiece.
Yeah, and that is a great fight for the Small Town Girls. Almost could have went way, way different, but that Scylla Crush being just a little bit too early made the entire difference. Tragic Fox able to get a lot of damage off on the back end. And the ult from the Yamoja at just the right time, making sure they don't die. Really good fight. Now going to open themselves up to the Oracles. Probably not tanky enough for the Gold Fury. Oh my gosh, I thought the Yamoja stole that for a second.
It was very close. I thought it might happen, but lucky for Zitan, that was not the case. But looks like Lucent's going to hang out in duo and see if they can make a play happen onto the Ishtar. But it's not quite there. There's some good damage, but it's going to take a lot of commitment. I don't think they want to do that right now. So I think Zitan's plenty safe.
Yeah, definitely is. Zitan shouldn't have to worry about too much, especially with all that CC immunity and survivability built into that Ishtar's kit. I mean, if you hit somebody that dives on you, you get up into the air, you got a long CC immune duration with that ultimate. So as much as we talk about Ishtar being an aggressive god and maybe not the most mobile in the world, I think still a very safe god, at least in these early games. Z10 not have to worry about much, but Tragic Fox does have to worry.
Taking a lot of damage quickly. But with the stun, I don't think the kill is going to be there in Tragic Fox. There was even a rotation from Zetan. Thor is up into the air now. Going to slam down on the red buff. And that will secure not only the kill on Akamaru, but the red buff for Small Town Girls. I'm a monster. No good on Tragic Fox. Zetan here, though, from around the back. Sean cleans it up with Sikkim. Lucent gets pulled in by Flippin' Ninjas, and this fight's turned once again. Now it's Harbinger's favor. Physics coming around the back, though, as Jingwei looking to try to get some damage off. Purple Nurple cleans up PF Sean, and easily. Ninjas get some body blocks onto Zetan. This is a tough fight now for Harbingers. Has to get out of there quickly. Lucent's there too, kind of low. Knocked up is Zetan, but the dash will make him safe. And close call for Harbingers, but ultimately just lose PF Sean.
That was so close. I think Lusa accidentally Purple Nurple backwards trying to chase down the Kepri. So they maybe fumble one more kill, but a really, really good turnaround from the Small Town Girls. I was a little bit concerned when they re-engaged that, but the Thor, over 100 physical power already and just absolutely pumping out the damage. Guess he knows what needed to be done is now 1,500 gold over to the Small Town Girls, and that's one of the biggest leads we've seen at the playoffs so far.
Yeah, and we talked about in the picks and bans, what would Harbingers do if they were back against the wall? They're certainly not in that scenario yet, but I think this is safe to say might be one of the most even games that they've had, not just all season, but so far in the playoffs, and they're having a tough time. I think it's still there, but it's just something to keep an eye on, that this is uncharted territory for them.
Definitely is. Now the I'm a Monster gonna land. Tragic Fox is gonna die under the tier 1, but Purple Nurple's back. Can he find the damage? Gets Akamaru, but the Scarab's Blessing gonna save him. That should end the chase, and indeed it does.
That was a huge Scarab's Blessing from Flippin' Ninjas. Those have been on point all game on this Kepri, and that was a huge one to be able to save Akamaru. That was almost a very tough turnaround for Harbingers after picking up the kill under tower. But thanks to the revive, they win a 1-for-0 trade.
Yeah, they do, and really lucky to get that revive off. I think Thor's cooldown's just not quite right to go chase down the Hunbats. And I think before that fight got in, that was one other thing I was going to talk about. The engage in this game for Small Town Girls is going to be so much easier than it is for Harbingers. Achilles just gets to the back like it's no problem. Thor can go anywhere, do anything, and Yamoja is just such a presence. The Harbingers, though they're not behind, they're still definitely going to have their work cut out for them. It's going to be a hard road ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be a bloody road ahead as well. Lucent pulled in by Flippin' Ninjas, but I'd be surprised if they can even do half damage to Lucent on this Yamoja, given the build. There's the Fabulous Hoop we love to see as well. Some pressure in solo lane. Gear Chief just trying to take Totem away safely. Purple Nurple is showing up to dual lane, but he is getting pinged out, which is very important to note, as he is going to look for the dunk. We'll see where he goes. If he's going to commit. He is looking for Zetan, trying to find the right spot. Going to get the stun onto just Flippin' Ninjas, but that's enough to kill Flippin' Ninjas. Akamaru and Sean are just now on the way, and they're going to full commit for this tower and get the tier 1 tower pretty easily, and then turn for the retreat. PF Sean's here, but engaging in a 3v4 is a tough call here to make. He does get the Sikkim crushed. Blink from Akamaru. Purple still alive, though. One basic will do it. I'm a Monster, not quite communicated well. And the Jetstream is going to take out Sean. Kill goes the way of Lucent after the ultimate from Jingwei. And almost a good call from Harbingers, but ultimately the ability misses, and the slight miscommunication was just a little too much for them to turn that fight around.
Yeah, still luckily they are going to take the Thor off the map. That's really been the main engage tool for Small Town Girls this entire fight. So maybe giving their other lanes a little bit of time to breathe easy, don't have to worry about being ganked. But definitely losing that trade, as that's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of Small Town Girls. Up 2,500 gold now. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, that's another tier 1 item, finishing off an item in base, and during this next fight, that could be really, really important and a big advantage for the Chaos team.
Small Town Girls is pulling the Gold Fury. Flippin' Ninjas and Zetan are both here. Gold Fury's down to 25%. Terminator lets go of the Fury. Small Town Girls gets the Gold Fury. Now Purple Nurple up into the air. We'll see who he goes on to. It's gonna be Akamaru. Kepri ultimate comes out, though. Will be plenty enough to calm down this fight. Gear Chief's here as well, just kind of poking his head around, but there will be no further commitments from Harbingers or Small Town Girls for that matter, and that's a fairly free Gold Fury at 15 minutes.
Yeah, it definitely is, and good play calling and good fighting around that objective to make sure Harbingers didn't steal it. There were a couple in the area, but not quite able to get them out. And the Achilles and Shock both went with Contagions. Okay, maybe I'm just missing a little bit of the meta builds over in solo, but definitely looks like a new path to me does the same thing as Pestilence. Just really favoring up that physical defense, and I can see why with the crit builds lately, ADCs are doing so much for their team. I definitely expect a Spectral later too.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little surprised by it, but like I think you made the perfect case for it. We do see some aggression in solo lane. Gear Chief taking a lot of damage, but the execute was not quite there. He did not get low enough for Terminator. That might have been what they were trying to play out there. And Gear Chief will get away safe, and Small Town Girls will look to other things.
Yeah, they will, and the other things might be the Pyro or the Scorpions as they come back up. I think both. Oh no, sorry. It's actually Harbinger Scorpion about to respawn, but Small Town Girls are just gonna back off, buy some items in base. So a small opportunity here for Harbingers in their own jungle to get some wards up. Unfortunately, nothing more as everybody is back, and here Physics, just baiting it. I thought they were starting it. The Caster's Curses are real.
The Caster's Curse is very real. So is the split push from Zetan. Does get a tier 1 tower, but the problem with that is now Small Town Girls know that Ishtar is not here, and they aggress on the Pyromancer. Up into the air is Purple Nurple. Where is he going to go? Looking towards the Pyro. Going to land down on top of Flippin' Ninjas to get the stun. Akamaru got out of there just in time. I'm a Monster. No good for the steal. They let the Pyromancer go. Crush, though, is good for the steal, and Harbingers gets that. Now they're trying to break away from the fight. Everyone's going different directions, trying to split up the damage, and that might be effective, as now Zetan's here, and he's doing big damage to Lucent. Piashan, though, caught under tower, gonna fall. Akamaru also low, but he got plenty far away for now. Zetan and Gear Chief are still in the midst of the fight. Physics dashing in, looking for some damage, but gets a lot of return damage from Zetan. Lucent had the same exact problem, and now Flippin' Ninjas is here, and guess what? Khepri still got his ultimate. So with a tier 1 falling in mid, the fight fails out, but it's hard not to see that as a huge victory for Small Town Girls, despite the steal on the Pyromancer.
Yeah, it definitely is. Getting the tier 1 tower and then being able to chase down and get that kill onto PF Sean, it opens up the map even a little bit more. I think this is a second straight fight where Purple Nurple's fallen, so definitely not helping their engage, but with that Scylla off the map, Harbinger is going to be missing a lot of big damage in this next immediate fight, and it's going to allow Small Town Girls to get a little bit aggressive, set up aggressive wards, strip jungle away, whatever they want to. Back alive now, but still, Small Town Girls, if you look at the wards across the map, especially on that right-hand side, they definitely have the advantage in the jungle right now.
Yeah, and that's been a pretty common theme from Small Town Girls. While Harbinger's team play has felt very premier all season, Small Town Girls' map control has been their shining star consistently, and showing up here for certain.
Yeah, definitely has. Now we're going to see these two teams match up again on the right-hand side. Okay, they're all backing off. I was about to say, not really sure what objective they're all looking for, as Oni Fury is going to be up in about a minute, and that's going to be a really important one. 20-minute mark, too, so a lot of these players starting to get even further along in their builds, ticking over to level 17 now, are the ADCs. So everybody's starting to do a lot of damage, and this could definitely be the site of the next really big fight in this game.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. You said it best, that there wasn't an objective up, and everybody was still kind of dancing around looking to see what they could make happen. It's going to cost some tier 2 tower pressure for Harbingers, because Zetan was actually in the mid lane, going to lose about half of the tier 2 tower. And I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot now, and certainly Fire Giant late in the game can do some work to that, but what I'm more so looking at is how it went down, and the actual play call of that itself being something to look at. I don't like the separation that we've seen from Harbingers and kind of the lack of commitment we've seen in this game.
Definitely not, as that separation might be really bad here for Gear Chief. Not much damage being thrown at him, though. Small Town Girls definitely grouping a lot better, but with Achilles on the other side of the jungle, they're at a pretty big disadvantage here. Terminator finally starting to make his way over, and this Oni Fury is going to be a really bloody fight, I think. They're going to want to chase kills after this objective falls.
For sure, and I'm kind of surprised Harbingers took a lot of time to start anything up here with 5 members and the man advantage. Now Terminator's going to be able to come around the back. Waves come up around the Oni Fury, which they haven't even started. They're just looking for damage, and that already cost the Phantom Shell from Flippin' Ninjas. Terminator taking a lot of damage. Slam down from Purple Nurple. I'm a monster in response. It's no good on anybody. Big double knock up in the back from Chalk. Does okay damage. Small Town Girls all kind of hanging out around half health. Akamaru looking to clean up some of these kills, but still not quite there. Z-Tan's here as well, but the CC has just been too much for Harbingers to commit for any memorable kills out of this fight. Now Flippin' Ninjas are getting stunned, taking a lot of damage from Purple, but he takes just too much in response and falls down to Akamaru, and they save Flippin' Ninjas. So kind of an awkward fight will lead to a very clean and very free Oni Fury, unless Tragic Fox is able to steal it last second, but I don't think it's there. It's not. Harbingers gets the Oni Fury. They will look for a kill onto Gear Chief, but now Sean has walked up in to Harbingers. He was going for a cheeky Sentinel, but that's going to lead to his death. Don't think that Sentinel was worth it. Maybe looking to get some extra poke, but it led to his simple death, really.
Yeah, definitely not very ideal at all having your Scylla fall after that really good play and good fight on the Fury. But luckily, those Oni waves pushing out into all lanes. Small Town Girls have the minion advantage here, so definitely a little bit of a blow for them as map state's gonna probably go back to being a little about equal, if not ahead for Harbingers. Small Town Girls are on the Fire Giant. It's been spotted out by Harbingers. I would just drop this now. I don't think this is worth committing to.
It's definitely not, and look at all the damage Tragic Fox has taken. Now Akamaru's here to take advantage of it. To the skies, though, just in time. Akamaru gets the kill. Fear No Evil comes out, and Purple Nurple landed right inside of it. Big double stun, though, at the wall. Akamaru falls low, but a great revive from Flippin' Ninjas again saves Akamaru. Gear Chief looking for some damage in the back, but gets knocked off. Z-Tan finds Terminator and does numbers to the health bar. It's amazing what an ADC can do at this point of a game. Purple Nurple now caught out with Gear Chief. Does get the stun, but took a lot of damage. And the Fire Giant start was not successful, and it's now cost them a Pyromancer as well.
Yeah, questionable play calling, I think, from the Small Town Girls. Definitely not the right move on that one. Luckily, though, they're only down about 1,000 gold. That's still about a 4K swing, but definitely not a bad place for the Small Town Girls, but really need to clean up that play calling going into the latter half of this game. You can't be taking risks like that against a team that is this good and that will punish you for the mistakes.
Yeah, I'm kind of in shock at how even this game is. The chart tells the story, though.
Yeah, it does. It's been back and forth a little bit. Small Town Girls had that lead. Luckily for them, they're still not in a bad position, but this is the time and time again we've seen Harbingers. They get a small lead and they run with it. They group so effectively. They're always on time to the objectives. So definitely going to have to do a lot to overthrow that Order side team. Not going to be an easy task.
I do think this game might turn into a Fire Giant dance, but unlike what we saw in the beginning of the season where Fire Giant dances were unstructured and kind of led to just 30 minutes of nothing, I think this Fire Giant dance could potentially lead to, if not the game-winning moment, a momentum-changing moment. Gear Chief caught out on the side. Everybody's here for defense, though, and now Terminator gets pulled in and taking a lot of damage, has to use that ultimate to get away. That is a big loss for Small Town Girls, no matter how small it may seem.
Definitely, and the ability to take out that Kepri revive too in this next fight is going to be pretty massive, I would think. As now Harbingers establishing superiority here around the pit. Small Town Girls aren't in a bad position. Oh, almost kept Flippin' Ninjas out. That could have been really big.
And Purple Nurple is hanging out in the lane. Looks like he may be looking for a position to ult in from, which I have to imagine Harbingers is prepared for given the positioning of the Thor currently. Small Town Girl starting to run at them, but as long as Purple Nurple isn't in the air, I wouldn't panic if I was Harbingers, but now Sean might get caught out, has to use Sentinel. Z-Tan barely avoids a wall. Looks like Terminator is going to commit to the chase on Sean, but if only to get him away, and I'm kind of surprised at how passively Harbingers is playing this. I mean, I understand they knew that they had to look out for Thor going in, but that was enough to get them completely out of the area of the Fire Giant altogether. And that shouldn't be pressure that you win that easily.
Yeah, luckily for them, Small Town Girls didn't capitalize, but here comes the engage, and it's on to Terminator. Terminator dropping low, Terminator dropping to the grave, but here comes Purple.
A big three-man ultimate from the Thor is enough to get everybody stunned. Flippin' Ninjas has to use a selfish ultimate. I'm a monster, no good again. And the ultimate did not revive Flippin' Ninja, so his health is still low. Now he's caught in a wave. PF Sean falls down to Purple Nurple. Lucent cleans up his fellow support in Flippin' Ninjas. Gear Chief falls to Physics. 2 members left of Harbingers, and this is going to equal a 4-man Fire Giant for Small Town Girls.
Yeah, and a really good fight from Small Town Girls. Harbingers had a really good engage, too. Just kind of went by the wayside. They got that early pick, and then I think a little bit too scattered in that following fight. And a massive ultimate from Purple Nurple. Doesn't matter who the Thor's on for the Small Town Girls team. It looks great on whoever.
I almost can't believe that the Thor was... They were in a position where every single person watching, playing, casting, whatever, knew that Purple Nurple was going to go in with his ultimate before he did anything else. And yet somehow, Purple Nurple still managed to get a 3 to 4-man ultimate off, which is just absolutely insane from the jungler in Small Town Girls.
Yeah, it really is, and especially I think considering that Thor, the fight just before, was the thing they were all worried about, didn't know where it was, it made him back off, but that fight, we see exactly why Purple Nurple finding massive value. Now Small Town Girls, again in the lead, and they have the Fire Giant, but this is something I think I always talk about. When you get this Fire Giant, you need to do something with it. It can't just be, oh, we get a little bit of extra XP and we can heal a bit in team fights. That's kind of nice. You have to start sieging down these towers. With 2 tier 2s still on the board, I think the left lane and the middle lane are definitely where Small Town Girls is going. Ztan doing something really smart here and pushing those minions as far as he can. Might pay for it though. Lucent on the way over. They're going to catch him out.
He does have reinforcements on the way in the form of PF Sean Akamaru. Mojo ultimate comes out, and he dashes out, has to use his own ultimate, but he's taking so much damage from Physics. It's enough for the kill, and that is not what Harbingers needed. Might not be the end of anything, but they gotta play more careful. Now PF Sean is caught in a loop. Does have Sentinel, though, and is gonna get away for now. But Harbingers is playing life dangerous right now.
They definitely are, and yeah, unfortunately, Ztan steps too far forward, gets punished, and that's going to make this job a lot easier for the Small Town Girls. Been putting off a lot of damage, as you see 20,000 on the charts, just barely behind first place. It's going to be a big presence missed, as now Flippin' Ninjas might be caught out. The Khepri down to half health.
Taking a lot of damage. They might commit for this tier 2 with Fire Giant, and why wouldn't they? Gear Chief here to try to stall things out, but Terminator is unfazed and walking at Flippin' Ninjas. And Purple Nurple is setting up once again. Ultimate comes down, finds Gear Chief. Does a lot of damage, but another beautifully timed Khepri ultimate from Flippin' Ninjas has been a theme of the game, just hasn't done much for Harbingers. The Phoenix falls in seconds. I'm a Monster only hits Lucent, and the hammer deletes Sean. Now Scylla's gone again. Oh, this is tough for Harbingers. And Small Town Girls, on the other hand, we want to talk about narratives. The narrative of this game has been Small Town Girls is borderline untouchable.
Yeah, other than that one small slip they made about the 20-minute mark, kind of got behind, as now they try the Phoenix Siege. It might be a little bit over-aggressive. 5v4 is still a tough feat to do, especially with all the ults up from Harbingers. Doing the smart thing here, they're going to fall back, get the Pyro. I'd imagine get the gold too. Definitely don't want to give that defense bonus over to the Harbingers. I think get those 2 objectives, then back and get ready for the next Fire Giant would definitely be the play here. As we see Physics and Lucent break off left, the rest going for the Pyro. The play calling is magnificent here.
And that's been the difference this game. I gotta say, Small Town Girls has been unbelievably impressive. I don't think... I'm sure Harbingers is a team that strikes me that they do homework, but I don't think they were expecting this coming into this game. Small Town Girls had an answer for everything so far, from picks and bans onward. And while it hasn't been a landslide by any definition of the word, it's been tough for Harbingers the whole time. With the small victories they've had, they really had to grind and fight for them.
Yeah, they have, and I think, like you said, the homework and the preparation has to start in the picks and ban phase for me, and they let Small Town Girls have a lot of their comfort picks. that mid 3v3 in particular is something that they've been running all season long. Don't know why that didn't get banned out in this game 1. I think regardless of the outcome, definitely going to have to be off the table in game 2. Now Fire Giant has worn off a minute until the large orange man respawns. Definitely this fight is going to determine a lot of the rest of the way this game goes. And it's an EFG, so you have to contest this if you're Harbingers.
Yeah, you really don't have a choice, but doing the wise thing was Small Town Girls breaking down the dual lane Phoenix. I mean, even now they have to have Gear Chief over there stopping the fire minions. We talk about it often. That is the best Phoenix to take because it just makes it so difficult to defend the EFG. And like you said, at this point, it's a requirement.
Yeah, it really is. And the Fire Giant's going to spawn. I don't like how lax this positioning is from Harbingers. I mean, obviously, Shot can teleport in over, but they're starting it right away. Terminator on zone. They need to get in there now. Fire Giant already at half HP.
I don't think they're going to get there in time. Akamaru is the only one with a chance. He blinks in. Fear No Evil, though, might be in time. Small Town Girls gets the Fire Giant. Purple Nurple up into the air. Has an easy dunk onto Flippin' Ninjas. Capri Ultimate comes out, but won't stop for long. Phantom Shell as well, but no Yamoja Ultimate, so now it's available. Well, Yamoja Ultimate used, and Phantom Shell is down, and Flippin' Ninjas dies. Sean picks up a big kill, but Physics kills Zetan. Sean is healthy. Gear Chief now caught in the middle, can't get away. Crush deletes Physics! Double kill for Sean, but it might be too little too late. It's a 3v2, and it's 3 dangerous members who have the Fire Giant. Akamaru loses Magi's, thank goodness for that on that stun, or that could have been an easy kill for Purple Nurple. Crush comes out, does half health to Tragic, delaying the Phoenix. Sikkim no good, and meanwhile, Mid Phoenix is falling to just Terminator, and Fire Minions are marching in.
Yeah, tough spot for Harbingers. Luckily, they get a couple kills on the back end. But for me, that all starts on the Fire Giant fight, as they were way too late trying to show up and contest that thing. They got good tools to steal. I mean, the Fear No Evil and the I'm a Monster are both great for stealing away objectives. It's one of the big purposes, but just not able to get on time. And now, Small Town Girls, they're going to have to back up for now, but they are in a great position still. And that right, Phoenix, has minions knocking on the door.
Yeah, this is a rough spot to be in for Harbingers. We've talked about defense all season, and while this is a decent team comp for defending, I would even say a great team comp for defending, I think Harbingers is past the point of being able to play casual defense. I think they have to basically play for a D side if they want a chance to get back into this game. Because Small Town Girls is not going to give it up easy enough to where you can just rely on playing tower defense.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think they did a good job last game killing off that Jingwei early, kind of getting the push dead in its tracks. But for this next fight, like you said, they're going to have to go massive. Even if it's a fair trade, if it's a 2v2, a 3v3, there are Fire Minions, there are Phoenixes down, it is not going to go well for Harbingers. And an Oni Fury spawning in another minute too, they need a lot of pressure off this push. Small Town Girls are going to look for this Phoenix, as they should. If I were them, if the Phoenix siege is unsuccessful, I would book it straight to Oni Fury. Make sure you keep the pressure on Harbingers no matter what.
Important to note, who's currently left alone in the mid lane, it's Purple Nurple. Sean peeking over, but Thor can just ult away from Sean, so now Sean's kind of caught in the middle. Terminator looking to be the opener. Purple Nurple gets caught in Sikkim, but avoids the crush with Aegis, and is fine for now. But halted at the Phoenix currently is Small Town Girls.
Yeah, Fire Minions pushing in though, they're in a good spot, and there comes the engage from the Emoja.
On the side, Sean has to use I'm a Monster, it's no good! Purple Nurple kills Sean! Is this the beginning of the end of game number 1? Phoenix getting pushed, but Small Town Girls is just taking so much damage. And now Purple Nurple can't contest, but Fire Minions are pouring in. Now all Phoenixes are down! Purple Nurple did miss ultimate, but will it even matter when it all comes down to it? Titan down to half health. Ninja's caught out, doesn't take a lot of poke though. Important for Harbinger. Zetan defending Titan. Titan dropping to a quarter. Full commitment on Titan for Small Town Girls, and it pays off as they take game number 1 of this semifinal set.
Yeah, and that is a really good game from the Small Town Girls. It looked a little bit rocky there in the middle for just a few moments, but they pull it out in the end. They did it in the beginning and finally are gonna get the Titan for all their efforts. And I believe, I could be mistaken, that is the first game loss we've seen from Harbingers that I can remember.
It's been a long time since I felt like Harbingers was outmatched in a game, and this game was Small Town Girls' game from really the beginning onward. And it didn't. I mean, there was like you said, at 20 minutes, there was a sign of life from Harbingers, but it was just ripped away so quickly. It's so easy to forget it even happened. And this was Small Town Girls' game the whole way through.
It definitely was, and I think we talked about it on a little on the desk and at the start of the game. But Harbingers, they haven't been behind all season, so this game number 2 is going to have to tell us exactly what team they're going to be, if they're going to be able to come back and keep their championship hopes alive. And if they can't adapt quick enough, they haven't been in this situation yet. It could be the end of the road for the number 1 seed.
I think you said it best, and with that, why wait any longer to get to game number 2? We'll be right back on the Smite Draft League semifinals. Hello, and after a very exciting game number 1, with a bit of twists and turns, now we're here with game number 2. I'm Anthony Malum. He's Kingfisher. Let's talk picks. Let's talk bans.
Yeah, and I think already Harbinger's off to a much better start, getting rid of the Thor. Not sure why they got rid of the Ishtar, but I think we've discussed many times, it's top pick, top ban, so if they don't want to pick it, you might as well ban it. I think also it'd be really nice to either see Lucent off his Yemoja, or if you can get Tragic Fox uncomfortable, get rid of her Yu Huang, I think that'd definitely be a good use of the third ban, but it's going to be the Neja instead.
Yeah, see, I don't really agree with the Neja ban. I'm kind of with you. I would have taken the Yu Huang away. If not, I mean, the Thor is gone, so there really wasn't anything else that was too crazy. I mean, Jing Wei was good, but it certainly wasn't. It wasn't the character that won for Small Town Girls. So I think Yu Huang would have been a much better ban. We do see the Kepri ban though, so no more revives for flippin' ninjas.
Yeah, I guess Flippin' Ninjas made enough of an impact even with the loss for the first game. I think though Harbingers did correctly identify that Thor was a massive, massive difference maker. So definitely smart to take him off the board first, but now they have the top pick in Ishtar is off the board. And they're gonna take the emoji away. Okay, so that's why they didn't ban it. I think I've seen Flippin' Ninjas on this pick once, and he didn't look too bad, so definitely not a bad pick for the Order team.
Especially when you consider that this takes it away from Lucent, and even if Flippin' Ninjas can perform on par with your average emoji, taking it away and not having to use a ban on it is a pretty small but significant victory for Harbingers.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I'll never hate on a Yemoja pick no matter what. I think she's a great guardian, kind of gets overlooked, like didn't really receive a ton of nerfs, but definitely not at her heyday like she was in seasons 7 and 8, where Yemoja just kind of ran the lane. Now she's just one of those characters where if you know how to play her, she's really good. If you don't, she's really bad. So if you're a Harbingers fan, definitely hoping that Flippin' Ninjas knows how to pilot this Yemoja, but given everything I've seen this season, I definitely think he can make it work.
I definitely agree, and we didn't talk too much about the Cupid band. With the Cupid and the Ishtar band, that means there's not too many options in terms of what we've seen Ztan be strong on. If I'm Small Town Girls, clearly they won't because they don't want to risk losing Yu Huang. I would have taken away Rama because I feel like this kind of opens a lane where I expect to see the Rama, and we just know how good Ztan's been on it. I have a hard time imagining picking anything else just because of how good he's been on that character and the fact it's available.
Yeah, I do as well. I think definitely would have gone to the Cupid if it was open. Cupid Umoja, always a really good combo, but unluckily for him, Small Town Girls banded out earlier. Now Small Town Girls are going to pick up their support and their mid. It's back onto the Yu Huang for Tragic Fox. It's not exciting, but it's not a surprise. Been doing it all season and still yet to see it really fail. But the Ymir from Lucent, I think we saw this a few weeks ago, and it looked really good. Definitely not as comfortable for him as the Umoja, though.
I'm surprised to see Agni get picked so early for PF Sean. I don't. I mean, even if Small Town Girls started to target ban out PF Sean to kind of control his selection, I can hardly imagine a world where they would have banned Agni. They probably would have gone Scylla, Merlin, Vulcan, maybe in that order before they got to Agni. But
Yeah, and I think
I don't know.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, Small Town Girls banned Vulcan last game, so definitely wouldn't have been out of the question. I think I kind of agree with you along the lines, but at the same time, the god pool that PF Sean is like really, really good on is pretty small. I don't think we've ever seen him on more than those 3 or 4 gods. So maybe just a comfort thing, and you called it perfectly. There is the Rama for Tantalus, exactly what Small Town Girls should have been afraid of. That is going to bring a lot of pressure and pain from the duo lane.
Yeah, if there is one thing that I would not be surprised to see in this game is Ztan take control of this game as Rama. I talked about it in game number 1 that that was kind of who needed to put Harbingers in the backpack. Like, it's not that Harbingers hasn't performed well. It's just very clear that Harbingers functions off of Ztan, so they really need him to go crazy. And Rama's a character where if they can get to mid, early, late game, he could potentially run away with it. Letting Sasano through for Burple Nurple is scary because Sasano does deal with Rama very well, assuming he doesn't get crippled out. But I like Harbinger's chances getting this Rama through.
Yeah, definitely do. And Rama, I think it doesn't really matter exactly what ADC pilots him. Rama looks good in everyone's hands, but when it's an experienced hand like ZT and Talus, definitely a really, really scary prospect to go into. So now banning out the Hun bots, I think Akamaru did look really good on Hun bots that game, especially early, had a lot of impactful rotations. Definitely a good start, and the Dodgy already being banned out, a pick we've seen him time and time again really dominate on.
Yeah, I think we actually talked in the round 1 part of this playoffs about banning out Akamaru and how, while it's not easy, you can certainly take away his 2 strongest picks. So I actually really like those bans from Small Town because you at least now he isn't playing his best character, and that's important, especially when this ROM is getting through. And for that matter, the Agni, because say what you want about Agni, say what you want about PF Sean, when you combine them, he has performed well, statistically speaking, in these games.
Yeah, definitely has. PF Sean, I don't think has ever really looked bad in a game. Just it's a matter of whether he has enough space to get the damage off. And I would imagine with Umoja, Flippin' Ninja is going to be able to do a lot of peel. Like we saw in game 1, I think the Scylla looked really good up until the end, kind of became a target of a lot of dive, and unfortunately the Khepri wasn't quite able to help out, but maybe the switch up of kits is going to help them find that chemistry back. As 2 ADCs get banned out from Harbingers, a Jingwei that we saw last game, and again, the Jibalant gets banned out against Physics. I know it's your favorite god, must hurt to see it banned in both games so far.
I know, the fact we don't get to see Shibalanke in semifinals is enough to make a grown man cry. We do get to see a Cthulhu, though, no doubt going to the Soul Lane in the hands of Terminator, and given how Terminator has been so impactful on such damaging, strong picks, it's not that I think Cthulhu isn't a good character or doesn't bring a lot. I almost feel like you're internally nerfing Terminator a little bit with that selection.
Yeah, definitely not as damage heavy as some of the picks he likes to play, but I think on the flip side allows him to get so aggressive with the Descent into Madness. I mean, you just become pretty much unkillable unless you get focused by everybody on the map. So going to be able to keep up that aggressive playstyle, it's just a question if he's going to get the damage off or not. But I think paired up with Zuzano, it's still going to be a very scary dive. As on the flip side, it's a perfect counter for Gear Chief, the Achilles. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can't miss a Cthulhu with an execute. You just can't.
And there is Akamaru's third assassin hunter of choice. It is the Pele. That is the other character that we've seen him consistently perform well on. Definitely not as good as Daji or Hunbots, but the Pele, regardless of who's playing it, is never a character you can forget about. And quite frankly, I feel like Pele does manage to handle Sasano well. She at least has response moves for what's in his kit.
Yeah, has a very nice 1v1. I think why we don't see Akamaru dominate as much on the Pele, obviously still performs well, but unlike Hunbots, unlike Daji, it lacks that really big impactful ultimate where you get yourself out of damage, you provide a massive engage. I mean, when you dash in with Pele's ult, it's just you. You're still getting hit for that whole duration. Much less safe god, but with Charybdis being the last pick, these 2 drafts are rounded out.
Yep, they are indeed, and they're rounded out, so we will see you in game number 2 between Harbingers and the Small Town Girls. After game number 1 was full of one of the biggest surprises so far this playoff, Small Town Girls taking a game from Harbingers. Will game number 2 be more of the same, or can Harbingers reel back in what has made them a favorite all season long? I'm Anthony Malum. He is King Fisher. Let's do it.
Yeah, and already we see some very, very different looking team comps from both sides. Seeing Terminator on a Cthulhu, not a common sight this season, so definitely keep your eyes out for him, seeing how he performs on this pick, any playstyle changes, and now it's not going to be Lucent invading the purple buff, but the other way around, Flippin' Ninjas wants to find a steal as Umoja, but again, Lucent has a hand of the gods. I wouldn't even try it in that case.
Yeah, this big value that is placed on getting off those invades just, to me, isn't there. Although Lucent did go back to support buff. So Ninjas is here at a decent amount of time. We'll see if it's enough to get this purple buff down to about 200 health. But I don't think he's going to have it here, as now Physics is here as well. And there's the Hog. And now Flippin' Ninjas is very, very caught out, even more than we saw Lucent in game number 1. Taking tons of damage, has to use the shell. Does manage to juke the sheet of ice, which is gigantic. That might just be enough for him to survive. And it is. Close call for Flippin', but he does get away ultimately, despite how crazy close that may have been.
Yeah, and call me a hater if you want. I do not understand that invade from either team. Didn't understand it in game 1. Didn't now. I guess getting the XP from the small minions is definitely valuable, but stuck around for way too long. Loses a lot of the health bar and has to use all but one of her health potions early on as Purple Nurple looks for an engage. Agni's not expecting it. Gets under tower.
Does not have the pull, so Agni will be safe for now. Only level 2 is Purple Nurple, but a good bit of damage does poke out PF Sean for the time being, which is never anything to take for granted.
Yeah, definitely not. PF Sean, I think we set it on desk, very comfortable on the Agni. Same for Tragic Fox, and for that reason, I would definitely like to see both these junglers really, really aggressive onto the mid lane, try to throw the other mid off their game. I think you identified in game 1, it can be a difference maker in these matches, how good your mid is doing, if they're able to get their abilities off, what they're hitting, and anything you can do to make yours more comfortable is definitely a recipe to success, as now some fighting over the Interceptor.
It's close, and now Purple Nurple's here, still only level 2 though, but Flippin' Ninjas is only level 1. They don't get any CC, though, and surprisingly, Flippin' Ninjas will get away safely. That will help secure the Scepter, which is a good victory, but with Purple Nurple only being level 2 still, and now having to back, I'm not quite sure I completely agree with that decision.
Yeah, it's an odd one for sure, but now we see some added aggression. Lucent now, the one dropping low, Flippin' Ninjas back up to full health. No more health potions though, so I think Ymir are going to be able to out-sustain, and this is where we're going to see the Charybdis versus Rama matchup really take place. It's interesting because inherently both these gods have a really good wave clear. They got enhanced autos, pass or anything, but I think Charybdis slightly edges out Rama with that splinter shot. It's almost like a mock X-Ball one. And for that reason, I think Physics is definitely going to take this lane over, at least early, until Z-Tan's able to get a couple rotations.
I definitely agree with you, and, last game it definitely felt like it came down to jungle and mid was the big, where the big victories took place that led to the difference in the game ultimately. This time I would feel comfortable saying it could be the ADC roles that really make the difference, and maybe even add solo into that conversation.
Yeah, you definitely can, especially on picks like this. I mean, we saw last game the Achilles had a really big impact, push out PF Sean really, really well. Now on the flip side, Purple Nurple blinks in, goes for Tantalus instead of Ninjas.
And Z-Tan had the beads, so now Flippin' Ninjas is kind of just fine, and so is Z-Tan. So another call it failed gank from Burple Nurple in dual lane. Still not level 5, as Pele has hit level 5, so not the greatest position right now for the small town jungler.
Yeah, definitely not. And the target prio has me a little questionable there. Ultimately, though, did get the beads out from Z-Tan, so setting himself up for success later on. I think, though, Yemoja did have Shell down at the time, I want to say. May have been a much easier target, as now Pele rotates in, has the ultimate too. Could be bad as physics getting... Come on.
Is it there, though? Everybody's getting knocked back. Rama ultimate no good. Pele damage no good. Everybody gets away safe for Small Town. And I think you even sensed it out before I did. That fight was just not there for the taking. It was a good attempt, and you may as well, considering the multitude of ganks that came out from Small Town, but it just wasn't there, and now jungle is being invaded by Burple, but it kind of just weird all around, really.
Yeah, definitely was. I mean, I guess Akamara could spare the rotation. He is up about half a level on Burple Nurple right now. Obviously, Susano had that really fruitless one earlier in the game. I think twice he looked over there. But they get the blue buff invade too, so now starting to tick back towards even Burple Nurple, finding a much bigger impact early on than Akamaru is, but did not get the yellow buff, so we're not going to see the junglers just hate each other for the rest of this match yet.
Emoji Waves come out looking for a purple invade. They do steal away the purple. Now Lucian's dropping very low and now getting brought back in, but is the damage there? I don't think it is with Shell as well. And Harbingers does have to back up and kind of forgo chasing that fight any further.
Yeah, very unfortunate for them as they do have to pull out of the purple buff, and Lucian still got enough HP, still got health pots, so doesn't have to back quite yet. And now, I think Ymir is one of the few gods I'd expect to see that Mail Renewal on instead of Gauntlet of Thebes. A lot more aggressive item, but given Lucian's tendencies, I think this is definitely Gauntlet of Thebes early on, as now Terminator has a level lead, and as Cthulhu that can feel absolutely oppressive.
Yeah, if you let just even the littlest bit slip away on a Cthulhu, you can feel just, oh, so bullied out. And he kind of feels like he gets a free roam, and that, it's just not a good feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely not. Going into the Squidman is already hard, especially with that level advantage that he has. I think about half now with some sparring going on. I don't think Susano does enough damage this early on to really burst down to Yemoja. Commits the ult. This is ambitious from Burple.
Yeah, I think maybe Burple thought if he could get the knock-up off, that'd be enough for Tragic Fox and for her to kill ninjas, but it just wasn't there. I mean, I guess you miss every shot you don't take, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Burple. And I mean, Susano does a lot of damage, to be fair, does a lot of damage very quickly, but with only the Jotun's Wrath online, probably not doing a whole ton just yet. And speaking of jungle builds, I have noticed that Akamaru's put a starter in the second slot, and I'm gonna be watching that for the rest of the game. My experience is ruined.
Yeah, you've been broken down by that quite a bit this playoffs, and I think this is the first time we've seen it happen from a different team. But
it's always Destroyer that does it, right?
Yeah, it is always Destroyer, but I guess they're spreading around to the pain for you now. So,
joy. My favorite thing in life is now blue team is gonna look for purple invade. Our Harbinger is gonna find it. Lucian misses the freeze. Monster forgot about Rama into the skies.
Into the skies up. How much damage will it do? Astral Barrage
Not
doesn't
much.
do a lot of damage this early on, and we just saw it there, but does this open up anything else? Looks like Harbingers is unsure, probably making the best call to not go for anything there, but kind of just another awkward exchange, and that's kind of been the story of this game, is no kills, just awkward exchanges.
Very, indeed, but I think the one lone bright spot for both teams on these engages is I love that neither are overcommitting. I think last game we saw on both sides a few instances of trying to push it too far, really trying to get that advantage out and sacrificing way too much to do so. So I think from that regard, I like these teams showing restraint as Tragic Fox dropping low, but it takes off into the skies, so not gonna be able to find any more follow-up damage is PF Sean. Those Agni Bombs, even this early on, they hit hard, and you do not want them hitting you.
Yeah, and big double knockback. Now the Pele ultimate, a lot of damage to Burple Nurple will be enough for the first blood is the question. Shell comes out, it is enough for the first blood. Ninjas cleans up the kill on the Tragic Fox, make it 2 for Harbingers. from 0 kills to 2. Big change so far, and a nice little momentum shift here early on for Harbingers.
Yeah, really good one indeed. Finding that first blood and the second kill too, it's gonna really shut down any pressure Small Town Girls have at this Gold Fury. Ymir's gonna step up to try to steal. If I'm Lucent here, I'm putting down an ice sheet and then backing off immediately. If that's the right call, definitely not worth dying for a 9-minute Gold Fury.
Not at all, and it did work out. I think you said it best. Maybe try to throw an ability, but with the damage they had, it just was not worth the full contest, which he ultimately did not go with. I will say that fight does kind of... Those 2 kills kind of lead us in the Gold Fury, lead us to an awkward pace and momentum, because now it's kind of like what happens next, almost more so than what we can expect, because the next team to make a move has the momentum. Will it be Small Town Girls? A lot of damage to Nakamaru, and now Gear Chief stepped up, but might have taken a bad route, but he gets away as well. Surprisingly, Small Town Girls could not make a kill happen out of that. They do get the jungle, which is a victory, but definitely not as valuable as 2 kills.
Yeah, definitely not, but luckily any little bit they can do to chip away a Gear Chief over here is working. Cthulhu, I mean, he hasn't leveled up in, I think, 2 minutes. I think he's been level 10 for a while. Solo lane stalling out a bit. Dash caught out though. Terminator has to go up and he's going to get executed by this Achilles.
Oh, it's blocked! Descend into Madness might make it big, but the wall is still powerful indeed. But he takes a weird route. He gets caught out by PF Sean. Only so much he could do. Akamaru cleans up the kill onto Purple Nurple. It's 2 more for Harbingers. Now 4-0. They wisely go right to the Pyromancer, but around the other side of the wall, there you see her, Tragic Fox. Gonna make a play for the Pyromancer, no doubt. Down to a quarter health. Agni Bombs come out. Agni Bombs kill it just fast enough. It's a free Pyromancer for Harbingers. Almost a Tragic Fox to go along with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Yu Huang doesn't quite have the objective steal that a lot of other picks do, like the Agni, like the Scylla we saw in Game 1, is now Zetan. Under pressure on his own purple buff, wisely dashes away, just gonna leave that one. And I would like to rescind my earlier statement. I guess there's one okay scenario where Achilles doesn't hit the execute onto the Cthulhu when it gets body blocked. So I think your Chief missed that one through no fault of his own. Good body block by Burple, but pays for it with his life.
Yeah, that is tough to play around, and in those moments in the jungle, those fights are always so awkward feeling. There's really no way to get around that, but this is the Harbingers I expected to see. That's what I'll say.
It definitely is, and I mean, still, even 11 minutes in, sometimes we're seeing them grouped up as 3, grouped up as 4. Haven't quite seen that outside of the objectives, but I'll definitely agree, a much cleaner, much more composed Harbingers than we saw in Game 1. I mean, not just looking like themselves, they're looking like a different team. It kind of seemed like they were a little, I don't know, I don't think afraid is the right word, but maybe hesitant to group up and make those risky play calls they did in Game 1.
Yeah, in this game, that does appear to have all gone by the wayside, and for the better. The only thing that worries me is kind of the same feel as Game 1. Tragic Fox just does so well on this Yu Huang. You just, at no point in the game can you forget that she's on that character. And I think we've seen already that Yu Huang can deal some easy damage to this Pele by Akamaru whenever he goes in, so it's risky. Purple Nurple does catch out Sean in the jungle. Sean has to use the Aegis. Purple has to get out of there, though. Does not have the mana for the kill, so bit of a tough break for Purple. But that might stick a fight in left lane as it's a 3-on-4. And it looks like Small Town's trying to chase the fight, but Harbingers is wisely just disengaging and not letting them force that fight.
Yeah, and I love seeing all these players not overcommitting. First is Susano recognizing out of mana, probably not going to win this one, and getting back off. And Small Town Girls now knowing they're running out of places to chase. And I think however big a lead Harbingers get, no matter how good it is, there's always got to be a little asterisk by it this game. Small Town Girls team is going to be so scary on the defense with Susano, Cthulhu, and Ymir. It is going to be tough to break that even if they're behind.
Yeah, you've got to have the perfect situation to be able to get through that defense. Like, that's going to be the biggest challenge. They almost would need to, in that scenario, rely on getting the kills elsewhere across the map and having the team split up to have any sort of chance to run it down to the Titan. And that's a big ask.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think we identified it a little bit as the win condition for Harbingers at the end of game 1 when they were behind, but I think it's going to be the same thing even if they're ahead. Deicides and team wipes, any small kill, small lead you can get is going to be the way to chip away at this small town girls team. I mean, even now when they're 3,000 gold behind, they're still aggressive into the jungle. And they have every right to be. Red buff, though, gets secured by Harbingers. Primal Fury is coming up now. And I think we're going to see 4-man groupings from both sides. Solos are going to stay away. Everybody else is going to be at the gold.
Yeah, this is going to be a very close one for it. If they do commit for it, we did see Purple got caught out going for that red buff. It was a lot of patience shown by Harbingers, but they couldn't get the kill. They caused Tragic Fox to back, but they didn't really do anything with the back, which is kind of what I expected to see. I expected them to maybe force some kind of issue off of the heels of Tragic returning to base. So now we're kind of back to the same place we were 5 minutes ago, which is almost feel-wise not close, but in terms of actuality, it's pretty even Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, 4 kills to 0, 2,000, or I guess 3,000 gold in the front. You'd expect Harbingers to have a lot bigger grasp on the map, on these team fights, and while they have been winning all the team fights, I think besides that first double kill, there really haven't been any blowouts. Small Town Girls are still showing up with presence, and I think right here, this is a tone-setting fight. If I'm Harbingers, you want to take this gold Furrier, you want to get a couple kills and get some tier 1 towers, because otherwise, even though they're behind, Small Town Girls are still going to feel like they're in this game. This is the fight where you really need to push your advantage.
And they are pulling the Primal Fury. 4 members here. Z-Tan in the back. Make it 5. 4 here for Small Town Girls. A bit spread out. Burple Nurple will come around the back. There's the Emoja Waves. Astral Barrage comes out. They are kind of lacking in clear. Maybe that was even for more vision, but now Gear Chief caught out and stunned. Phantom Shell comes out. Descent into Madness follows. Gear Chief has to use the ultimate, but it's no good. He dies anyway. Now all 5 of Small Town Girls are on the chase. Z-Tan does pick up Physics. Flippin' Ninja's very low, has to leave the fight. Chase continues. Double knock up on Z-Tan and Sean, but they seem plenty safe. Z-Tan has to use Purification Beads to get away from Cthulhu. Sean still fighting and doing some damage. Almost killed Tragic Fox off to the side. And it's enough to back everybody off, but now I wonder if Small Town might try to make something happen, but they just don't have the health for it, so it's probably best they leave, but they're still sticking around, and they'll finally decide to leave.
Yeah, great fight from Small Town Girls, pushing them out. Unfortunately, lost one as PF Sean in trouble. Should have backed sooner. Will he fall? No, he won't. Akamaru gets a kill. They're going to follow it up onto Lucen and a double kill for the red buff. Not worth it from Small Town Girls. And now we're going to see the Cold Fury tone-setting fight.
You know, that wasn't how I expected it to go, but we talked earlier about how well these teams were doing with disengaging, but we did not see it right there from Small Town Girls. Just pushed the issue way too much, and it bit them in the butt.
Yeah, it really did. Very unfortunate for them, but looking for a Pyro in response, I'd be really careful here. You got 3 coming over onto a Yu Huang and a Cthulhu. Definitely not a good scenario. The burn is going slow, too. If I'm Small Town Girls, I do not think this objective is important enough to fight over. Akamaru going behind, trying to find it onto Physics, and they're going to lose to Pyro.
They do lose it. They pay for their crimes with the steal from Harbingers. They do look for Physics, they being Harbingers, but they can't quite find any CC to chase the kill. But getting the Pyromancer means that there was no victory across any of that realistically for Small Town Girls. And add on to that, a tier 1 tower going the way of Z-Tan.
Oh yeah, good split push there from the Rama. As now Harbingers, this is the team we're used to seeing. A lot more pressure around the map, and Small Town Girls make a questionable pyro call. And in just, what is it, 2-3 minutes? They've gone from only down about 2,000 gold to now 6,500. That is a massive swing, and this is where this game can start to get out of control for Small Town Girls. If they're not careful, gonna have to make some big, aggressive plays to bring this one closer.
Yeah, for sure, and honestly, the way the Harbingers got here wasn't even as clean as we're used to seeing. They kind of just have taken advantage of every mistake Small Town Girls has made, and Small Town Girls, thankfully for Harbingers, is just making way more mistakes than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, we're used to seeing this team be really polished, always grouping up well, really good play out of their front line. And they just haven't had the chance to do that. We've only seen maybe two big, large-scale team fights. And even though Small Town Girls were the ones that were aggressive, pushing them out at first, they've overstepped. They've lost members they shouldn't have. It's just a little bit more sloppy feel for them. I think the team comp might be a big difference maker. Burple is normally their engage, hasn't been able to get into the backlines, and Terminator not yet finding much value with the rotations. Lucen pops Phantom Shell to walk through that emo jolt.
Yeah, Zetan looked for the Astral Barrage on the Tragic Fox and almost got the kill, but it wasn't quite there. Now he's caught up at Purple Nurple. Purple Nurple does get away, but only for the time being, as Zetan cleans it up. But the Maw hungers for 3 people. No kills, but a big stun. Descent into Madness comes up. Zetan falling low. Choosing to aggress onto Terminator might be the right play. The lifesteal is pulling through, and the Execute cleans it up. Gear Chief gets the kill on the Terminator, and Harbingers turns another fight around. And this one might lead to a Fire Giant.
Yeah, definitely hard for Cthulhu to get aggressive without Spectral, and when the Rama has heals from Umoja. Probably should have backed up there, but regardless, result is going to be the same. Even if he was forced to retreat and stay alive, the Fire Giant is going to fall. Harbingers 9 kills to 1, 9,000 gold in front. And this is the stage where we're going to start seeing a lot more aggression. They're pushing out all the minions. I think a lot of these towers are getting wiped off the map in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, if there's one thing we've seen all season, it's that when Harbingers has the momentum and they get Fire Giant late in the game, they really don't tiptoe around it. They go right for, not the end. They aren't anywhere near the most aggressive team we see go for ends. But they go to clean the map. They'll clean your whole house if they need to. They'll take out every Phoenix if you let them. But they probably don't go for the end on the first Fire Giant because they bide their time and they play passive. It would take a seriously crazy opening for them to look for anything more, in my mind. But I do think we will see a decent gas pedal here from Harbingers.
Definitely should, and they've caught Charybdis out in left. This should be a kill into the Maw early if PF Sean can find the damage. And they can. ZT and Talus cleans it up. And that is going to signal to all the Small Town Girls they need to get back. They need to defend. Cthulhu is at the tier 1 in right. This tier 2 tower in left is going to fall if they do not have the Squidman back there with them. Not teleporting. Oh, doesn't have tower teleport. He's got to go all the way back.
And it might be dangerous as now Tragic Fox is taking a lot of damage. Dropping low, down to 10%. Gear Chief commits for the Execute, but to the skies is too good. And now Gear Chief's caught behind the wall. Gets away with plenty of health. There's the snipes, but they're just not able to go far enough, and Tragic Fox escapes with her life. But Harbinger's now in a really good setup and got a free tier 2 tower, and Small Town Girls got less than nothing from the attempted split push.
Yeah, not going very well as now tier 2 tower is under siege, and with the health bars as healthy as they are, wow, that didn't make sense. Gonna have to force him off. Gear Chief, though, dropping low. As teleport up, he can back and come back in at full health. Oh, big dragon push.
That pushes them in, but look at the damage Terminator's taking. Has to go into Sense of Madness. Waves are up. Sean kills Terminator. Zetan kills Physics. Akamaru cleans up Lucen. Everybody's getting the kill. Tower goes down with it. And it looks like Harbingers might make a rare call and push for the Phoenix. I almost can't believe what I'm seeing, but they are. They commit for the Phoenix. Gear Chief was considering backing, changes his mind. Phoenix dropping low, down to a quarter. Agni Bombs coming off for secure. And they're pushing into the Titan room. And they're going to kill Tragic! They might be able to do this! I've never seen Harbingers play this aggressive for an end, but they're going for it. Burple with a big 2-man pull, but he's still alive. Harbingers falling low, Titan at half health. Zetan killed him! It's a deicide! Harbingers will take game 2! I don't know where the aggression came from, but clearly it worked, and we've got ourselves a set!
Say we're mad about that one. I don't think I have ever seen that aggressive of play out from the Harbingers, but they were saving it for playoffs. That is a beautiful end call. Done really well. I don't even know what happened at that tier 2 fight. The emoji walls went up. And then everybody on Small Town Girls just died.
It didn't even look like it was that impressive of a fight, or there wasn't even that many deaths, but Harbingers saw the opening and they
clean up that fight.
It did, and Harbingers saw like the tiniest opening in probably SDL history, and they took it. That was even smaller than some of the round 1 stuff we saw from Tactical Feeders. That was absolutely absurd that they went for that end and they were able to get it, but what an exciting end. And you almost can't even feel too bad about it as small town girls, because really Harbingers just found their opening and took it.
Yeah, and it's something we've seen all season long, not only when teams play Harbingers, but just a lot of the aggressive snowbally teams. When they get off to a lead like that, I think it was, like 7 kills to 1, 20 minutes in, they were up 5,000 gold. You can't do much to come back from that unless you have the big, kind of rare pop-off plays where you got to get lucky and get skilled
Sure.
all at once. Unfortunately, Harbingers, they're the number one team for a reason. They are not going to give you the opportunity to get back in that game. That is a beautiful end call and an awesome game two from Harbingers. They push it to game 3.
And that is one of the craziest 2 games we've seen so far this season, let alone playoffs. But we've got one more left, and whoever wins the next game gets to go to the semifinals. So with that, we're going to leave you here, and we'll be right back with game number 3 on the Smite Draft League's semifinals. Hello and welcome back to more semifinals Smite Draft League action. We've got the thing we all came to see, Game 3 of our best of 3 between the Small Town Girls and Harbingers. And Game 1 was all Small Town Girls all the way. Game 2 felt more like a Harbingers game until they turned into tactical feeders and ran it down and managed to pull out the victory. So for game number 3, I almost have no idea what we could possibly expect to see. I'm Anthony Malum. I've got Kingfisher with me. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I think the one big thing we got to talk about, we covered it in between games 1 and 2. We were interested to see how the Harbingers would respond. They hadn't been down all year. What were they going to do to come back in? On the flip side, that's I'm not going to say a bad loss for Small Town Girls, but it's a big loss. I mean, Harbingers looked unstoppable. They had the advantage the entire game. What do you have to change to stop that? Wow, these are going fast.
These are going incredibly fast. I can't recall the last time I've seen anybody pick their picks and bans this quickly, but I guess these guys just want to get in here and they want to play their game. I love the Scylla coming out for Tragic Fox. I'm surprised to see that Rama gets to go to Zetan for free in a winner-take-all game. I gotta say that for sure.
Yeah, definitely odd to see. And we're going to see a Hades Cthulhu solo lane matchup. That's going to be interesting. Hades normally likes to build full damage, and Cthulhu very tanky, so already out of the gates, these are going to be 2 really different stylistically, if that's a word, team comps that we're going to see. But there, an Achilles? Is that going to be the Achilles jungle this time? Okay, I now officially don't know where those are going.
We do have to ship along, okay? So my state of depression will only get worse here for game number 3. And P.F. Sean taking a page out of Gabba's book and might be pulling out a Hugh Wong for the winner-take-all. It looks like everybody's playing something different in the most important game they've had all year. So I'm a little surprised to see this route. We do see an Athena as well. I cannot express, 1, how surprised I am by these team compositions for the most part, and 2, how excited I am to see these guys go at it in a winner-take-all. I mean, there's, for one of these teams, but when you go in, you have to have this mindset, there's nothing left to leave on the table. You got to play all your best cards right now.
Yeah, and I wasn't even looking at the Athena. This is the first time I think I have seen a Terra, maybe this entire season. It's a real wild card. I mean, that god does not get played a lot. It's very niche, I think. It kind of depends on the team comp, what you're able to do around it, but such a good god if it's put into the right hands. And this Athena Terra matchup, I think, could decide this game. That is going to be a fun one to watch.
And with that, we aren't going to make you wait any more. The next time you hear my voice, we will be finding out who is the first team to go to the finals for the Challenger Division in the Smite Draft League. We'll be right back on the SDL. I certainly hope that you are ready, because I know I am. Here's a scenario. We got small town girls who came in here into this playoffs as basically a dark horse, has now taken Harbingers to a winner-take-all. But how do we get there, you ask? They took game 1. Harbingers, with the shock call of the year, went for an aggressive end. You wouldn't even know what team I was talking about. And now here we are, game 3, semifinals, winner goes to the finals. I'm Anthony Malum. He is King Fisher. Let's not wait any longer. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to stop talking about Harbingers from last game. They had an incredible showing, one of the best end calls I think we've seen all season. Granted, it was really close. It easily could have slid the way of Small Town Girls and Adia side there, but in the end, they got it done, and they got it done well. Now, heading into Game 3, we're going to see what they bring out this time. It's a really different team comp. They took the Cthulhu away, they took the Yu Huang away, and they have a Terra on their team. And I'm going to be interested to see if they can keep up that same pace of play that they did last game.
Also important to know is Akamaru built his starter in the second slot.
I'm going to be having some words with him after this game. That is besides the point.
Nothing like a bit of fun to start off the semifinals, and we got aggression across the map really here. A lot of damage coming out in Soul Lane of the Terminator on this Hades, getting pressured up by Gear Chief quickly from the Cthulhu. But junglers aren't here yet, so Terminator should be safe for the time being. Matter of fact, it looks like Purple Nurple's heading towards the mid lane. So, got a dangerous place right now for Terminator. Got to play this safe. Blink in from Purple Nurple on to PF Sean, taking a lot of damage quickly. He goes to the skies, almost to his tower, does take a turn. Looking for Jukes. Can he get away? He does, if not, barely. Peeking back solo. Terminator's taking a lot of damage. Has to dash out of the root. Dashes into danger, though. Still safe for now. Mid lane Akamaru's just gotten back here and find me a more exciting start to a winner-take-all that doesn't involve any kills.
Yeah, and both teams are definitely ready for this one. They're fired up, and they want to get off to an early lead. Unfortunately, only one team can, and don't know which yet. This Hades is building into a Warlock Staff first item. I'm used to seeing Hades go the Bancroft's Claw, or that's not... Bancroft's Claw or Typhon's Fang. Those are the two. Yeah, okay, I was right. But no, it's going to be the Warlock Staff, an item we haven't seen since Book of the Thoth came into meta.
Ooh, close there for Flippin' Ninjas. Does get away from the branching bolas, if not barely. Same can be said in solo, though, as both of these guys are playing it very risky. We don't want to miss a second of action, but there's action across the entire map. Big heal for Terminator, though. Doesn't seem like a lot, but could be enough to survive some damage, and will probably keep the junglers away for now. But Flippin' Ninjas is healing back, but that will almost do it for his potions. So keep an eye on that for Duo as well.
Yeah, definitely need to, as the Order team is going to pick up the Interceptor. I think Lucent will go back to pick it up. Big taunt. They find anything here. Flippin' Ninja's dropping low. Both the ADCs are swinging.
Damage until now. He's one hit away, but it's just not quite there. They can't fully commit for it. Dash in from Zetan to get them away. Now they're going to get double rooted. Now the damage is all of a sudden in the favor. Harbingers, another good two-man taunt. Flippin' Ninja's still alive in the back, and look at how much damage Lucent and Physics have taken. They cannot commit from either side. I don't know how nobody died there.
Are we sure they're not account sharing? I mean, this is completely unlike any team we have seen coming into this matchup. They both look like they have different strategies, been preparing all week for this one. And I'm not used to seeing this aggression from either team. This is fun to watch, but which team is going to be able to keep it up and pull through on top? Akamaru's lurking close by. So is PF Sean. Oh, first blood's going to happen soon, I think.
It's a party in the duo lane, and Lucent is getting kicked out, taking some serious damage, but they gotta back away! I can't believe the four-man gank is gonna fail, but there just wasn't enough mana there from anybody, or health for that matter. So Lucent lives the four-man gank and gets to tell the tale. I can't believe it.
And Lucent had 0 mana, couldn't dash away, couldn't taunt, couldn't do anything. But I guess Physics putting out enough damage with the Branching Bulla to dissuade everybody. Oh, and now big fighting over Totemaku. But I think Hades gets it, unfortunately. Ah, no, Cthulhu's got a big amount of...
Gonna use the ultimate, gotta secure that totem, and it gets canceled instantly. They're gonna go for the chase on Gear Chief. Akamaru is not too far away, though, so I doubt they'll chase it any further than what we've seen, and they will not, which gives us time to head across the map.
And I know Terminator was just ulting there because Burple Nurple was ganking. They wanted to get the Cthulhu, but the thought of a Hades ulting for Totemaku is so funny to me. If that was what he was doing, I mean, it worked. That tick damage doing enough. But now in duo lane, a rare moment to call in this game is Tantalus, the only one at level 5. And as I say that, of course, Small Town Girls join him. Now that Athena ult is something that really switches up the way this god is played. Lucent now can afford to be a lot more aggressive, spread himself across the map a lot more, so flipping ninjas on this Terra. We talked about it being a pick that's not played a lot in the lobby, but really going to have to do some great work to keep up with the pressure that Athena is going to bring.
PF Sean almost got picked off at Purple Nurple in the mid lane, but is safe. Purple might look for a re-engage, but I don't think it's quite there. So this has to keep an eye out for if Sean pushes just ever too far. But aside from that, it seems pretty safe. We've got another totem duel on the horizon. We'll see if this one goes Hades' way as well. Hades' ultimate not up this time, though.
Oh, but Cthulhu ultimate is. Are we going to see the descent into madness? We're not. Maybe a little bit too aggressive for Totemaku. An unfortunate layer in the mid lane for Burple. I think if he had more mana, he would have gone for it. PF Sean was very close to execute range. But mana, it's really been the killer of every gank so far this game. The junglers have not been keeping their mana up. They need to buy more blue potions in the base. But now, a little bit of stalling out. It's always that weird phase in the game where you don't have enough damage to do objectives. You have enough damage to kill players. But there's really nothing you can do. You just kind of have to farm until you reach like level 10 minutes and you can start getting aggressive.
Yeah, so like you said, things are going to calm down. We do see Akamaru lurking over, and with the gank from Purple Nurple, happened so quick you couldn't even see it. Had Lucent with him, Terminator does fall, but that means 3 members are on the map. We'll see if that turns into anything for Harbingers. I don't think it will, though, surprisingly enough. So Gear Chief falls, and nothing really in response. Tough break. Make it a first blood, and it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and a really good job getting that one onto the jungler too. I think game 2 we saw Purple Nurple didn't have as big of an impact. I don't think directly his fault, just the way the game was going. So definitely getting him ahead in XP, up in kills is the way to start this one for Small Town Girls. Now a lot of attention on the right side of the map, I think still based off the gank of the Achilles. Really over nothing though.
We will see a blue invade, but it's going to be much too late to contest. Looks like Purple Nurple sees this and realizes it does back off. And yeah, I don't really know what's worth it to keep hanging out over here. I don't know what you can make happen. And it's probably going to stall out, but still, it's kind of interesting to see how these guys are stalling out and trying to calm things down.
Yeah, I mean, pacing plays such a huge part in every game we've seen, and it's already a massive turnaround in this one from the unlimited aggression in the first minute and a half to now where these teams are being a lot calmer, they're showing more restraint, they're not going for maybe the end-all be-all plays, and I think that's just a testament to how good these teams are. The fact that they're able to do so many things so well at once, it's pretty clear to see why these teams have already advanced in the playoffs.
Agreed, and, you know, it's really been the story of every game so far in the playoffs. I feel like every team has massively stepped up in terms of performance, but almost none more so than Small Town Girls. Tactical Feeders does come to mind, but it's been really impressive to see, and regardless of how this game ends, you cannot state enough how much both teams have to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely do, and especially, I mean, just playing at this level in this game, I mean, Small Town Girls going up against a #1 seed can't be easy. And on the flip side, Harbingers are showing really, really good resilience after the first game. Hard to count them out of anything here. And this third game, I'm guessing also, this is going to be a much longer game. Game 1 and 2 were kind of quick. I would guess this game goes, at the very least, past 30, 35 minutes.
It's kind of hard to imagine it taking any other route, realistically, as they're just, I mean, nobody's going to go down without a fight, even if it's down to the last man. You know, games like this are where you start to see the insane plays that really just anybody's trying to do anything they can possibly muster out just to keep the dream alive. And if we're going to see it, it'll be today, to say the least. A big gank from Purple Nurple. Again, Gear Chief just does not get to live freely in that solo lane. 2 kills now for Small Town Girls, and they're both on the Cthulhu.
And luckily for Cthulhu, he's still not alive, he's on par in levels, and going such a different build to this Hades, obviously he's going to have some defense, but he's going to have to build magical, so which means these ganks, Purple Nurple is going to be hitting like a truck onto that Cthulhu. Given that though, I think Gear Chief is doing a really good job staying in this. He hasn't had too much help from Akamaru, been spreading himself out different places, been trying to farm up, but still, being able to keep up in levels, still showing face, defending his own buffs, doing everything right as a Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's a tough place to be. And you know, I remember saying multiple times this season that Gear Chief can show time and time again that even if he does fall behind in solo lane, there is almost nobody better at keeping in the game and making his character matter and being able to play towards some strength. So while we might not see a Cthulhu carry from this point out, I certainly don't expect to see Cthulhu be eliminated from mattering.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be. And it's always hard to count a Cthulhu out of the game. Even if he's 5 levels below, whenever he ults, he is an entirely different god, an entirely different kit to play around. And I think for that reason, Gear Chief going to be a lot more relevant than he would on any other pick we've seen, like the Chalk, or anything in previous games. It's going to be interesting to see how they play around this new solo laner, as now we're finally starting to see some groupings only the ADCs are missing. Harbingers are spread out and flipping ninjas as a target.
Taking a lot of damage quickly, execute not even needed. Tragic Fox gets the kill. Hades ultimate comes out and making a double kill for Tragic Fox. He's a monster. Almost made it a triple. Half hit PF Sean, and everybody's got to get away for both sides. But that, if Tragic Fox is going to have a game like that on Scylla in this winner-take-all, Harbingers, they've got to figure something out quickly to deal with this.
Yeah, and that is great coordination from Small Town Girls. The Scylla reset and then so quickly flicking onto PF Sean and hitting it before he got up into the skies. Great move by the Scylla, and really unfortunate for Harbingers. I mean, Pele was back at the yellow, Cthulhu was still in lane. Unfortunately, tried to do a little bit too much, a little bit too fast. Cthulhu can't steal away at the Pyro. Low on mana too. They can go for this kill. I would back up though, flipping ninjas and Akamaru coming in. This could go rough for Small Town Girls if they step too far.
It's a double taunt. Terminator's low. PF Sean cleans up the kill on Terminator. Purple Nurple's next on the chopping block, and Cthulhu's holding the knife. Big kill for Gear Chief. All of a sudden, 2 kills for Harbingers, and Small Town Girls' lead could disappear quickly if they're not careful. Looking at Tragic Fox under the tower, but they can't fully commit. Harbingers is going to go towards Gold Fury, it looks like, and they're going to force a fight over there.
Yeah, luckily, Small Town Girls only lose 2 off of that. I don't mind chasing the low mana Cthulhu, but you've got to be conscious of the death timers. You know those 2 are only going back there. And I started up thought Lucent died. I forgot. Ooh, as Harbingers do secure the furry, but they lose a kill. Gear Chief going to fall too. 2 kills for a Gold Fury. I don't know if that's worth it.
I'm a Monster wasn't good, though, so I'm a Monster's down. PF Sean very low, trying to get away. Tragic Fox is hot on the chase. Crush is no good after the Sentinel in. Fight split into 2. 2-man taunt. PF Sean is down to just 1 basic away, but they cannot find it. He will get away. Small Town Girls did not manage to get the Gold Fury, but I think what they got might have been a bit more valuable.
Yeah, they did. A great turnaround from them. It's going to bring that gold differential back to where it was before they lost that double kill. And again, we see Tragic Fox come up massive with damage. Still kind of low in the charts overall, but hitting it where it counts. Really good play from Small Town Girls, as now they're up about 2,500, 3,000 gold. And this is kind of where I think we identified in Game 1 that could be a difference maker before we saw Harbingers kind of take it back. For Small Town Girls, don't give up any aggression this time. Keep on Harbingers, and they're keeping on Akamaru, falling low but able to get under tower.
It was very close on 2 sides. Terminator got very low as well, trying to steal that Scorpion away, but it looks like everybody's going to get away for now. Very close call, though, for everybody involved. Tragic Fox and Lucent fighting for the mid-Harpies. Tragic's taking a lot of damage. She's so low, she's going to fall. Not quite there for Tragic Fox. PF Sean picks up the kill. Attention turn to Lucent, but he's plenty tanky. Gets away with a lot of time left. Really, health bar-wise, I expected to be a little closer than that, but tough break for Tragic Fox, but she's been playing so well on the Scylla. It's kind of just hard to ignore at this point. and we're going to see more pressure like that on her for the rest of the game, I imagine.
Definitely have to. Now, even though they're behind, Harbingers getting that trademark grouping. They're pushing towers, they're doing objectives, they're doing it all. Gear Chief, though, in a little bit of trouble, but with PF Sean and Flippin' Ninja so close, not going to be in too much. This gets out of there, but on the flip side, Physics pushed really, really far up. Luckily, though, nobody coming over to gank him. This X-Ball just kind of allowed to do whatever he wants right now. It's a weird state.
Yeah, it's weird to see somebody be able to do that against Zetian. I mean, it's only down a level, but still, it's just an odd thing to see. Athena ulting in on top of Physics. To look for the aggression, doing a lot of damage to Zetian. Has to use the dash away, though, because he could be easily collapsed on. Tragic Fox is around the corner. She might be able to help out Lucent Colors, but that might be the only person. 3-man Sick'em! Big crush, no kills, though. Zetian up into the air, looking for Lucent. No shots, good. Crazy Sick'em from Tragic Fox, but her damage just isn't quite there yet. But oh man, does Harbingers have a problem to deal with in Tragic Fox piloting the Scylla.
Yeah, and that's what you like to see if you're a Small Town Girls fan. That is a type of plays you need to make sure you keep the lead in this game. Unfortunately, nothing really fruitful comes out of it yet. Oh, and misses the solo Sick'em. I mean, when there are three of them, definitely gonna hit him. But that is the type of plays you want to see. Seeing this mid laner get involved, get aggressive. And both of these mids kind of strike me as the ones that kind of hang back, just lob their damage from far away. Really good change of pace to seeing somebody get really into the team fights, getting off the damage, and not scared about dying. Oh, that is tragic.
Yeah.
Well, Lucent's building full damage now. I think he has to, by law.
I definitely have to agree with you, and that is, you know, that's got to be like the absolute worst feeling for a game like this. I mean, as small as it might be, in almost any other situation it'd be a laugh, but in a game that's this important, it's kind of hard. I'm sure there was a bit of an oof and an ah in the comms about that.
Definitely, especially considering how close Tragic Fox have been to the kills. Maybe the red buff would send them over the edge in this next one, but not quite. I guess now Athena may be a little bit scarier to walk against. Even without damaging items, without a red buff, Athena does damage. Lucent now maybe feeling like he can play a little bit more aggressive. Pyro spawns, Harbingers looking to aggress. Small Town Girls are caught out of position, and Lucent Colors might die for it.
Akamaru ults in on the Pele, Astral Barrage to follow. They clean up the kill onto Lucent, and they put a lot of emphasis on that kill. You have to believe they're going to go for more, maybe a Pyromancer. Split pushing is Physics, so keep an eye on that tier 2 tower in the left lane, how far he goes. Pyromancer is going to fall to Harbingers. They do lose the tier 2 tower. Tier 1 and solo is low. Terminator caught out. Blink in from Akamaru, dash away. Flippin' Ninja's hot on it. So is Cthulhu. Terminator still alive. Finally, the kill goes to Gear Chief. The aggression's now on Purple Nurple, trying to defend this tower. Uses the execute, still alive. Tower's full health, too. He's got a lot going for him here. Tragic Fox is on the way. She's going to be behind PF Sean, but Purple Nurple leaves the safety of the tower and does get picked up by PF Sean. Gear Chief, though, getting very low to that tower. I don't think Tragic Fox will get there in time, but I'd be surprised if they're able to get this tower after what just happened. Now Sean almost dies to it. Now Sean is going to die to it!
Oh!
Zetian let go of the tower pressure, and meanwhile, look at the Phoenix in dual lane. They let Physics push all the way up to the Phoenix and get it 1 HP as Sean was killed by the tower. This is a crazy winner-take-all game so far.
You know, maybe that red buff steal doesn't look too bad now. After all, you gotta think that's just a little bit of miscommunication. Probably thought the PF Sean was just retreating. I mean, we talked about it a lot. Rama does enough damage. I don't think needed the help of the Yu Huang, but still unfortunate for Harbingers as now they're going to be on the back foot in this fight. Gear Chief dropping really low.
He's down to a quarter, gotta get out of there, but there's the Pillar of Agony. It's gonna pick up Gear Chief. Astral Barrage does good damage to Lucent, but that's about it. But they do let go of the Primal Fury, as they just now have Purple Nurple showing up. A lot of damage coming out. Physics is gone. Lucent's gone. Not looking great. Tragic Fox and Terminator got to get out of there before they drop even lower. Purple Nurple couldn't get there in time to do anything. Might look for a steal to Primal Fury, though. It's going to be close. Primal down to a quarter. Purple's here. Goes in, but can't quite get it. Harbingers cleans up the Primal Fury. Not the worst Fury to lose if you're Small Town Girls, but what's important to note is that Harbingers is clawing their way back into this game.
They definitely are, and it's a really scary sight to see if you're small town girls. Because technically, you're still in the lead. You're looking okay on the map. You got the gold advantage. And Harbingers just aren't quitting. They find a good kill on the Gear Chief, but unable to get away. And Harbingers make him pay. That is a 2-for-1 fight. And really, not a debilitating fight, but definitely not what you want to see if you're small town girls thinking you can get back into this. And speaking of where everything's going, let's take a look at the builds real quick. The Achilles now, building into defense. Tim and Hades are going to combine, and that is going to make a really scary dive. I'd imagine this is going to be the Spectral Armor, so Zetan Talus definitely going to be in some trouble during this game.
Yeah, and you know, that's definitely a win condition for Small Town, is to eliminate that Rama as we get later into the game. Flippin' Ninjas is caught out with a taunt, and the damage, while not amazing, given how tanky Flippin' is, it's still nothing to forget about as we are at Fire Giant Dance stage. I hope you brought the right shoes for the main event. And things are close, really, across this map. Wards are now currently in favor of Harbingers, but that won't last for long. Goes back to Small Town, and I think for the pretty much the rest of this game, I expect to see everybody hanging out in this Fire Giant Den.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've seen long dances before. I feel like we're going to see some even longer ones this game. Really hard to imagine not. And it's going to be a little bit hard for small town girls to kind of find an alley into this. I mean, we've talked extensively about how much work Purple Nurple and Terminator do finding the engages for this team. And given how good Harbingers are looking in these past few fights, they are going to have to do a lot to find the impact that they normally do. It's going to be a really tall task. Now Harbingers take the aggressive step on the Fire Giant Den. They're going to be able to get ward vision out in the middle.
We did see them walking at physics for a second, but they don't quite commit. Important to note, Zetan is currently split pushing in duo, doing a lot of damage to that tier 1 tower. Should fall easily. Big taunt on the Gear Chief. A lot of damage coming out. Nothing too scary yet if you're a Harbingers fan. Zetan did just now back, so they will not be pushing out duo lane anymore, despite the Trebuchet showing up. Looks like Zetan will show up for this Fire Giant fight. Good poke on the Terminator, though, from Sean. And Small Town Girls are really pushing Harbingers far back here. This could be huge for the Fire Giant.
It definitely could. Small Town Girls now on the aggression. Lucent Colors dropping low, though. Lucent Colors going to the grave. Here's a big aggression from Harbingers, and they caught more out. Small Town Girls just need to get out while they're not ahead, but back out of this fight quick.
I'm a Monster was almost good, but it just wasn't there. Astral Barrage can't find anything. Sean blows up Tragic Fox. Big kill for the mid laner. On the way of Harbinger's descent into madness is chasing down Physics, but the crits are doing work. Purple Nurple's here too. Now Gear Chief's taking the damage. Terminator cleans up PF Sean in the back. Gonna find Gear Chief too. Oh, does the detonate, but it's not good. It wasn't quite there. Now he's down to barely a quarter HP, make it 10 Zetans on a killing spree. They're going to get the Pyro. Probably can't get much more given Gear Chief's health. But what a fight that was.
Yeah, Flippin' Ninjas is still close to full, but I think they're doing the right move. It's still a 3-on-3, and with only their ADC there, they cannot burn that Fire Giant down fast enough. Definitely Harbingers making the right call here. And that was a great fight from both sides. I mean, Small Town Girls had a really good pushback, then Harbingers answered, and Small Town Girls make them pay a little bit for overextending. But overall, I mean, I don't think either team comes out of that fight feeling great. Harbingers, even though they got the Pyro, admittedly, should have won that fight pretty cleanly.
You know, I'm pulling it back up again, because if we look at the charts, this game's almost dead even at 23 minutes, which is just absolutely insane to think about.
The game state is very reminiscent of Map 1, where Small Town Girls got a lead, lost a lead, but are they going to pick it back up again? I mean, the charts look really similar. I think the timing was a bit different, but this could be their chance. They got a 5v2 at the Fire Giant pit. Let's see if they capitalize.
They get Gear Chief out. He's down to half. There's Crush. There's the Execute. Not even needed. Gear Chief falls down to Physics. Now it's going to be a 4v5, and instead of going right to the fire, they do peek out to see if there's any more kills there. Lucent looks for PF Sean, but he uses to the skies. Zetan caught out by Terminator. Has to use the Purification Beads as well, but it's going to leave him vulnerable to a taunt later on here. Flippin' Ninjas is now the next one caught out. It's happening all over the place. Taking a lot of damage. Uses the dash. Xbalanque ultimate. Not going to be enough. The range didn't quite help, but that does open up a lane for this Fire Giant to get pulled from Small Town Girls, which is gigantic. Harbingers will look to contest, but this feels like it's Small Town Girls Fire Giant.
It should, and this ult from Tragic Fox has to be on point. Terminator is doing so good zoning them out, but can the Scylla get the finishing damage?
Small
Rama
Town
too early.
Girls gets it, despite I'm a Monster being too early. Terminator gets picked up by Akamaru, though. And just like that, Small Town Girls can't even aggress with the Fire Giant due to losing Hades. Sacrificed for the greater good, but still a huge death at this point in the game.
And that was so close. I mean, Tantalus had to be under 50 HP, if you could see the health bar in the back of that fight. Terminator, I think if he took Tantalus with him, would have been a great trade, and Small Town Girls could have got aggressive. And I don't say this very often. I'm a really big fan of getting the Fire Giant and making pushes, making things happen. That's a way to stop the bleeding that Harbingers have slowly been clawing back from. I'm okay if they do nothing off this Fire Giant. Getting that XP, getting that gold, and getting that pressure back already is going to be massive for the Small Town Girls.
You know, I think I agree with you. They might look for this Oni Fury, though. You talk about it time and time again. Oni Fury is a undervalued objective, and it puts so much pressure on the team who loses it. More of a ward fight, but turns out Physics is pulling it, and they're doing a lot of damage, but PF Sean is right around the corner. Tragic Fox will not have I'm a Monster, does have Crush, though. It's enough for the secure. Losing Colors, though, taking a lot of damage. Akamaru will be there for the cleanup, and Losing Colors falls. There's a 3v5 now for Small Town Girls. A lot of damage in this 3v5 as Purple Nurple is around the corner and not quite here for it.
Yeah, I don't completely hate that trade. As long as they can keep this tier 2 tower in left, it looks like they may be jeopardy of losing it, but Harbinger is going to back off. And I mean, a support for an Oni Fury, I love that trade if I'm the Small Town Girls.
I definitely agree. They might get more, but Terminator gets blown up by Zetan, goes into Astral Barrage to look for some damage and to survive. Big root from Flippin' Ninjas. Akamaru's on Physics and gets the kill. Tragic Fox is next up, but does get away thanks to the Sentinel. You know, she's thanking that dog right now. All the while, Purple Nurple has been pushing Oni minions out in solo lane, but that will cost them a tier 2 tower in duo.
Yeah, and if it's only the tier 2 tower, it's still not a bad place. I don't know if the health bars, especially on Flippin' Ninjas, are high enough to try for that tier 2, especially with no minions. I think still advantage to the Small Town Girls, but granted, that was an ugly fight. And I know that Hades likes to build just full damage. If I'm Terminator, you have to get a Spectral Armor. If not, you're just going to feed Tantalus kills the entire game. The Hades definitely still doing good, but needs that little bit of crit defense in order to really pop off in the rest of this set.
Yeah, definitely needs something to help, because we've seen it time and time again. He just cannot handle the damage from Zetan. And he's getting in great positions to where if he were tanky, I almost feel like it would lead to Zetan's death a couple of times now. So, massive.
It definitely is, and now Small Town Girls, they got all 5 back up alive. It feels for like the first time in 5 minutes, always seem to have somebody down on the back of these fights, which isn't always a bad trade, but playing from behind when you're theoretically this far ahead never feels good. Pyromans are being called, and it's going to go down really early, and I always love doing Pyro this early. It just takes that little distraction out of the Fire Giant pit, makes your full attention on that FG, which is about a minute and a half from spawning.
And this Fire Giant could very well be the deciding factor of who goes on to the finals. It's going to be close. I don't even know who I have winning this at this point, because this could go either way depending on what feels like a million different factors.
I know, it feels like you're always
blinking from Terminator, gonna go into Pillar of Agony. Zetan's taking a lot of damage. Purple Nurple cleans it up. Descent into Madness from Gear Chief. Almost everybody's here. Tragic Fox is the only one lagging behind. Purple Nurple down to half health. Flippin' Ninjas will break off, but that's a big loss for Harbingers here.
It is, and that is exactly the engage you needed to see. I've talked about all game Terminator and Purple Nurple. They're the engage. They need to link up, and they finally do, and get Tantalus before he gets to go into the Astral Barrage. Great pick from them. And the Rama being down on the Fire Giant too. It means for at least another 30 seconds, which Fire Giant spawning in, 30 seconds from right now, mark it 29-24, I'm calling it. that's when it spawns, and Tantalus is not going to be there. Small Town Girls have a massive advantage heading into this next fight.
They really do. We did see Terminator push out Soul Lane just a little bit, not enough to get the tier 2. But I'm so ready for this Fire Giant fight. This might be the most important Fire Giant fight that we've had so far in the playoffs.
Definitely a big one. I'm still watching the clock. If 29-24 is right, I'm going to have a field day. Oh my gosh, okay. Well, should pretty much be off the team. Oh wow, I was way off.
Looks like it might be 29-34. 33.
I mean, 8 seconds. 8 seconds isn't too bad of a gap. But now, surprisingly, Harbingers are the one on the pit. I don't know why Small Town Girls backed off that far, but now Purple Nurple in trouble. May have to use a execute to get out, but he keeps it. All ults up for both teams. Or almost up.
Harbingers are in a much better position right now for this Fire Giant. I kind of hate the spot that Small Town Girls have put themselves in, but Harbingers isn't doing anything with this advantage. I'm surprised to see that, but that's kind of big. They probably could have easily gotten this EFG.
Yeah, I don't know if easily is the right word, but definitely easily could have got position on it. Now Small Town Girls have reestablished themselves a little bit. I don't know why they stopped Cthulhu backing. Obviously he has teleport, but if Gear Chief backs, you got like a 3-second window where you can really turn on the jets before Descent into Madness gets there, and Losing Colors recognizes it. Not gonna make anything happen though. Small Town Girls still looking for their way into this fight.
And Lucent lost a good bit of health, nothing major, but still important. Does look like we're seconds away from a big engage. Big two-man Sikkim, lot of damage on PF Sean. All for now, but that's a lot of damage. Now Flippin' Ninjas is getting blown up. I'm a monster! No good. Physics does clean up Flippin' Ninjas, though. Gear Chief falling low in Descent into Madness. Astral Barrage could not take out Purple Nurple. Everybody's alive and pretty healthy for Small Town Girls. Taunt on the Gear Chief. A lot of damage comes out, but Sikkim no good. Z-Tan almost dashed into Crush, looking for the kill on the Physics, but he gets away. Blink in the back from Purple Nurple. Can he find anything? He can't. Has to dash out. Might get caught out. He does. PF Sean cleans up the kill. Crazy turn of events here at 31 minutes.
Yeah, it is. Luckily for Small Town Girls, they do enough to where Harbingers can't. Oh, I don't know about that. Blink in. Terminator gets a kill. If he gets out alive, he can. It's massive. There's no front line for Harbingers. Small Town Girls are re-engaging. This is the right call from them. Can they make it work? They go right onto the FG.
The only thing dangerous here is the ward coverage goes the way of Harbinger, so PF Sean knows exactly when to go in. But they're burning it fairly quickly. They do have Physics here. Terminator's playing defense. Akamaru can't find an in. Terminator goes on Sean to slow him down and kills Sean! Fire Giant down to 25%. Akamaru cannot find a lane in. I'm a Monster is waiting. It's early. Doesn't matter anyway. Small Town Girls gets the Fire Giant, and Akamaru has to use his ultimate to get away. Small Town Girls has brought it all the way back.
And that is perfect textbook zoning from iTerminator. I mean, I'm going to forget everything I said about full damage solos. I guess Hades is okay with it. Looking absolutely massive this game, doing everything right. That is a great play on the Fire Giant from Harbingers. Or Small Town Girls, rather. I was worried when Terminator went back in to get that kill onto Cthulhu. But worry no more. They play it really, really good. Now Fire Giant on all but one. They got 4 minutes of sieging these tier 2 towers, and if I'm Small Town Girls, I want to see a Phoenix fall off of this FG buff.
I for once, I'm borderline speechless, and I don't know what we're going to see happen. I'm trying to think of every potential outcome, and I just can't settle on what I think is going to happen. I think both teams have showed us that they're willing to do things that we aren't expecting, so I just don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a toss-up. It's not like a lot of games where you go into it, you know what the teams want to do, you know what team comps they want to use. It's been totally back and forth. It looks like 2 different teams. But now I think making the right call, sensing that all the pressure being put in left, they're going to go onto the right lane. This tier 2 is going to fall. This is no normal Fire Giant. It's EFG. They can make a siege for these Phoenixes if they want to. It'd be extremely aggressive. I don't know if I would be desperate enough to do it yet, but it's certainly in the cards for this push.
And with Tragic Fox having that EFG as well, not to mention Physics, the damage that's going to come out from Small Town Girls is going to be absolutely insane. And that's forgetting the Terminator is borderline full damage, with the exception of 1.5 items. They go for tier 2 in mid. Physics does get caught out. Akamaru Does ult in, Astral Barrage as well. Physics taking damage, but the shell saves him, so that's 2 ultimates down for Harbingers. That's not where you want to be right now.
It definitely isn't. And I think interesting that Terminator just got that Spectral Armor online, because he's already, I mean, all those times you saw him zoning out, getting aggressive, he's been doing it with no defense whatsoever. This just makes him so much scarier, and I think Tantalus, he's been relatively safe all game, not finding a ton of aggression on him. This is the time where this Rama needs to be careful. He is going to be the target. He's only died once this game, but if he dies a second time, the game might be over. That is just how much work he's doing. I mean, him and X-Ball, top of the damage charts for their teams.
And just like that, Small Town Girls is setting up on the edge of the Phoenix, looking to make what could be a final push for a victory. Gear Chief gets taunted in, losing colors down to half. They go in, but they take so much damage! It's a triple kill for PF Sean! Out of absolutely nowhere, PF Sean shows that he's not a 2-character main. He can play almost anything and save a game for Harbingers.
I don't think a push can possibly have worse luck. Small Town Girls just walk into a triple kill. That is horrible for them, and for Harbingers, it is great. They don't have the Fire Giant, but they have the manpower. This Phoenix is gonna go down in left, no doubt about it. If I'm Physics and I'm Burple, I don't even know if I would contest this. They're gonna have to make a Titan defense, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-man Titan defense. We saw last game, Harbingers was willing to go for the end off of it. So there's a chance that they try to push it all the way through here. Sean did get a couple nasty hits of crit, but they're going to look for it. Nice Aegis from Physics, saves a lot of damage. Flippin' Ninja's taking a lot of damage as well. Phoenix is still fairly healthy too. And they haven't done a whole heck of a lot to it, and now Athena's up, Tragic's up, Terminator's up, everybody's up. And they couldn't get the Phoenix a great hold. Absolutely fantastic from Physics and Purple.
And I won't lie, I don't really know why Harbingers didn't engage there. Flippin' Ninjas was
Terminator was waiting in the jungle. Gonna look for Flippin' Ninjas. Pillar of Agony. Not enough for the kill quite yet. Tragic Fox does not get the Sikkim. We're splitting 2 sides. Flippin' Ninja's low. Kind of stuck and has nowhere to go. And now Physics is here, and they clean up Flippin' Ninjas after an awesome play by Terminator waiting in the jungle. Purple and Lucent taking a lot of damage with the 4 remaining members of Harbingers in the duo lane. Terminator once again looking for a play, gets onto Akamaru. He has to use ultimate to get away. And now Small Town Girls looks to be running it down. They're full committed. And I almost can't believe a Terminator's just now considering backing, but doesn't. Now they're looking towards mid. What's the game plan here?
I think they're going to get ready for the Fire Giant. It's a perfect call. And I can't believe it. I think that is the first legitimate misplay I've seen from Harbingers this entire season. They don't take the opportunity to do the Phoenix. And now the Terra's not alive. It's not the Athena that can ult into her team. It is a 5v4 in an EFG. They're hiding in the fog. There's no way this works.
They found Gear Chief! And he's going to get deleted! They waited in the fog. It's like they're playing League of Legends, and they pick up the solo laner on Harbingers, and now the Fire Giant should be cake to take.
And it should be. Burple Nurple's going to come back in. Lucent Colors should ult back in here. And they have no frontline. Flippin' Ninja's still getting out of base. They're still looking for the engage. I would go straight to EFG and start burning it. Terminator.
I think they could get it quickly.
Yeah, and Terminator's already shown he is more than ideal for these zonings. Akamaru again coming in from the side. If I'm him, throw a couple abilities at Akamaru and all in PF Sean. Tantalus back to base. The Hades does not need to be afraid of anything. Doesn't need to contest anything. EFG falls easy onto all 5 members. Small Town Girls again have turned the pace of this game around.
I don't know what to say about this game. I think charts speak better than I ever could about what we've seen. And this is crazy. They waited in that fog, and that play never works. And they managed to pull it off against Gear Chief. And it might have seemed insignificant in the moment, but it ended up being a gigantic play.
It is, and that is, oh my gosh. If it was any other game, I would, I think, still be laughing about that play, but you just gotta feel bad there for Harbingers. I mean, Gear Chief, with that Cthulhu, we've already talked how impactful it is, how impactful he's been this game. Right, maybe not this game, it's 3-8, but most of the set. You just need one good ultimate, one good contest on the Fire Giant. Your luck completely changes. And now Small Town Girls, interesting, they know they still have time on this FG, but they're going to go for the Oni Fury, it looks like, first. I love this play. They all have their minions push up. They have another good 2.5, 3 minutes. There is no reason to rush this. The fight itself isn't going to take longer than 10 seconds. That is all the time you need that buff for.
Yeah, this is tough for Harbingers to defend this. I mean, they've done it before, but this is a tough one with EFG. I mean, Tragic Fox, Physics, even Terminator, so much damage. Purple Nurple has proved to be a problem this game, and Lucian's taunts have been absolutely insane in pretty much every fight.
Yeah, he has. And I think on defense for Harbingers, there's one man that came up absolutely massive last time. PF Sean, he's 8-3. He's feeling it on this Yu Wong, getting the damage done, feeling his impact. And the Yu Wong needs to come up massive. We've talked about in every pregame lobby how big a difference makers the mid can be. The mid laner is going to need to do it at least one last time here. His aggression seems to be, wow, that's a lot of damage. There's a man himself, PF Sean, dishing it out to Physics.
Physics does get some lifesteal up, but only to half health. Fire Giant's ticking 2, though, so if enough time passes, Physics will be back. And it's familiar. We're at the Phoenix. This is a big one for Harbingers, trying to remain the #1 seed and move on to the final. Small Town Girls is trying to be the Cinderella story so far of our playoffs. Who's it going to be? It's going to come down to micro play, it looks like, as Phoenix is getting slowly poked out with the Trebuchet there, and they can't step up to the Trebuchet to stop it. Xbalanque ultimate comes out. Big taunt from Lucin on the flippin'. Takes some good damage. Z-Tan alone up the back. Purple Nurple's in right lane with Akamaru, causing trouble. Astral Barrage to take out the Trebuchet. Smart move from Z-Tan. Does lose that ultimate, though. Phoenix is going to fall anyway. And with Phoenix down, the question is where to next. Purple and Akamaru are still trading blows and right. Akamaru down to half. Purple looking for the execute. Hits it. Gets the kill on Akamaru. Mid-Phoenix falls. And Small Town Girls might look to chase into the Titan room. Taunt on the Gear Chief. Lucent doing good damage. Terminator's in the thick of things. Big damage on the flippin' ninjas too. Titans down to half. They're committed. They're going for it. I'm a monster. Down to 10%. Z-Tan couldn't stop it. Small Town Girls is going to the finals despite Harbinger's best efforts.
I don't know if we could see a more aggressive end effort after the first couple games. Small Town Girls pulling out all the stops. It almost goes wrong. They lost their ADC so early into that Titan push, but they get the damage, and your first championship team is locked in. The one nobody saw coming. Everybody thought Harbingers going to the end, but Small Town Girls in game number 3 come up massive and send themselves into the Challenger League Championships.
That was an incredible game of Smite, and it's pure and simple. I cannot believe they were able to end. We have to give credit where credit's due, however. Z-Tan, the captain of Harbingers, and Harbingers gave it everything they had. Z-Tan almost killed everybody trying to stay alive. So after a fantastic season, it came down to their all-star captain in his, what we now know will be his final game. It just wasn't enough, though, to stop what I'm calling our Cinderella story in Small Town Girls, and that was incredible. The absolute perfect timing, the incredible usage of every minuscule ability that we saw. It was all timed out perfect. And what can easily go overlooked is Purple Nurple taking an Akamaru in the solo lane, because if Akamaru was alive, they do not end there. But Purple was able to win that 1v1, and that made all the difference. And it came down to the junglers and the captains, and just overall one of the best games we've had all season long.
It definitely was. It really doesn't get much better for that. Unfortunate for Z-Tan, his send-off season does end in a loss in the semifinals. But I think besides that, if the stat lines show it or not, everybody on that Harbingers team played great. It was a great set, but any team can win on any day, and the Small Town Girls show up when they needed it the most. They've had an up and down season, but looking great the last few weeks. They continue into the finals, and they're going to have to play a hard team between City Boys And tactical feeders, doesn't matter which win, they're going to have their work cut out for them. But given this game, I definitely think they have a good shot at taking home this trophy.
I agree. And with that, like Fish said, we have our first championship team, and it's the Small Town Girls. They will be waiting to find out who they get to face in the finals. And with that, we're going to leave you here after an incredible start to the semifinals for Season 1 of the Smite Draft League. I have been Anthony Malum, casting and running your camera. He was Kingfisher. Get in the Discord, follow the YouTube, be prepared on Twitch for the grand finals and the prize pool, and we'll see you next time on the Smite Draft League.